Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy today's episode.
Duan Tian's eyes narrowed. The reason he wanted to seize the championship in the clan martial meet was exactly for the generous prizes. Now that Patriarch Liao had asked him to admit defeat and even promised to compensate him with the same prize later. With Liao having said this much, no matter what, he should give Liao some face. But his opponent was now standing on the combat arena and gazing at him condescendingly. The white-clothed youth that looked at him in contempt really caused him to feel extremely displeased. He could imagine how complacent the youth would be at the moment he admits defeat. On the high platform, Liao frowned when he noticed that Duan Tian wasn't swayed by his offer. He took a deep breath as if he had made up his mind on something. Duan Tian, besides compensating you for the champion's prizes, in addition, I'll give you a promise. In the future, I will agree to help you with a matter that is within my ability and conforms to reason. How about it? Liao gave the final concession. Duan Tian couldn't help but be moved. Patriarch Liao's promise. That was something even 10,000 gold wouldn't be able to get you. He didn't expect that Patriarch Liao would provide such a concession just to allow Li Qing to obtain the champion's position in the clan martial meet. Of course, he could guess why Liao was doing so. The Li clan's yearly martial meet has always been an event of great importance. If the Li clan martial meet champion was obtained by a disciple with another surname, if the news spread out, the Li clan was bound to be ridiculed. The Li clan couldn't accept such a disgrace. No matter what, Liao was still the Li clan's patriarch. If Duan Tian wanted to continue staying in the Li clan, no matter what, he had to give Liao some face. In addition, Liao had already made such concessions. If he was still unwilling, it would be hardly justifiable. I admit defeat. Under everyone's gazes, Duan Tian said, in a calm manner, following which he returned to the side of the three girls. His goal was to obtain the 350-year-old blood Lingji. Now that he's obtained the blood Lingji, it could be considered as a satisfactory outcome. As for the reputation of champion, he didn't really care about it. Admit defeat? The people who were waiting for the match between Li Qing and Duan Tian with extreme anticipation were struck dumb. Duan Tian admitted defeat? Since Duan Tian appeared, he had the bearing of a dark horse, sweeping through all opposition in a domination manner, without any fear whatsoever. But now he actually admitted defeat. This kind of drastic change caused most of the people present to be unable to accept it. On the combat arena, hearing Duan Tian admit defeat, Li Qing was dazed for a moment. To think I even took you as an opponent, but now it looks like you're not worthy to be my opponent. Li Qing looked at the nearby violet-clothed youth that was surrounded by the three girls. The disdain in his eyes was ever stronger, vaguely containing a trace of envy. Below the combat arena, it was a wave of noise. Duan Tian actually admitted defeat, truly unexpected. I've judged him wrongly. I thought he would have the courage to battle Li Qinf. To think he even possessed the strength of 3 ancient mammoths. Looks really can be deceiving. There really is a difference between the core formation stage and the body tempering stage in the end. Li Qing deserves to be our Li clan's top disciple in the younger generation. He has a well-deserved reputation. The crowd's discussion was one-sided. Even the people who looked favorably upon Duan Tian earlier had now turned around and belittled Duan Tian to their heart's content, praising Li Qing. Duan Tian, why did you admit defeat? Li Shi's beautiful eyebrows frowned, unable to understand Duan Tian's decision. She even felt like the current Duan Tian was that much more unfamiliar. The Duan Tian she knew, the Duan Tian she liked, was not the type of person to run before a battle. In a blink of the eye, Duan Tian's image in her heart suffered a disastrous decline. I felt like admitting defeat, so I admitted defeat, Duan Tian casually said. You. Li Shi was flustered and exasperated, stomping her feet as she walked away angrily. Aren't the two of you curious? Duan Tian's eyes narrowed as he looked at the two young girls beside him who had not spoken up till now. Since young master decided to do this, Then surely young master has own intentions. Ku'er lightly smiled. You got a considerable amount of rewards from the patriarch, right? Li Fei glanced deeply at Duan Ling Tian. You? How did you know? Duan Ling Tian was dumbstruck. He looked at the seductive and beautiful young girl with a slightly shocked expression. The young girl smiled mysteriously. Fei Fei. Unknowingly when Li Qing had arrived at Li Fei's side, his burning gaze descending upon Li Fei. Li Fei, however, ignored him. Fei Fei, this branch family disciple that doesn't even have the courage to battle me isn't worthy of you. Li Qing took a deep breath, his tone filled with disdain. Duan Ling Tian's eyes turned cold. Li Qing, whether he is worthy of me or not has nothing to do with you, but I know that I will never choose you, so you'd be better off forgetting about me and stop annoying me. Li Fei looked at Li Qing in detest. Let's go over there. Li Fei called Duan Ling Tian and Ku'er over. Duan Ling Tian nodded. Before leaving, he didn't forget to smile at Li Qing in a threatening manner. His smile caused Li Qing's expression to turn gloomy, and killing intent started to pour from his eyes. Duan Ling Tian. The killing intent emitted from Li Qing's eyes was naturally noticed by Duan Ling Tian. But killing intent at that level, in Duan Ling Tian's opinion, was just like child's play. This Li Qing probably hasn't even killed a man before. His killing intent lacked bloodthirst. Following the end of Li Qing and Duan Ling Tian's battle, where Duan Ling Tian admitted defeat, the Li clan martial meet entered its finale. The final results were released. This year's clan martial meet top 10 were as follows. Champion, Li Qing, 86 points. Second, Duan Ling Tian, 84 points. Third, Leon, 82 points. Fourth, Li Fei, 80 points. Fifth, Li Zhong, 78 points. Sixth, Li Hu, 76 points. Seventh, Li Kuang, 74 points. Eighth, Li Shi, 72 points. Ninth, Ku'er, 70 points. 10th, Li Yuan, 68 points. Ku'er didn't enter the arena for the battle between Li Shi, directly admitting defeat. As far as she was concerned, she was best friends with Li Shi, so she wasn't willing to cross blades with her. After this was the moment where the Li clan's patriarch personally distributed the prizes. When they went home, Duan Ling Tian was still in a group of 3, only Li Shi wasn't within it now. Li Fei had replaced Li Shi. Inner court martial arts practice field. As Li Qing stood there, his body emitted a frightful presence. He was looking from afar at the violet-clothed youth and Li Fei chatting as their shadows faded in the distance. Li Qing, how about we join hands and find an opportunity to teach that Duan Ling Tian a lesson? Unknowingly when Lian had arrived beside Li Qing and voiced his suggestion. Humph! Li Qing coldly swept Lian with his gaze, his expression filled with disdain. Lian, you're the same as him. Both opponents that have suffered defeat at my hands. Do you think I would join hands with a defeated opponent to deal with another defeated opponent? Li Qing was extremely arrogant, using a condescending tone as he spoke with Lian. Since you're not interested, then forget it. Lian laughed embarrassedly before turning around and leaving. At the instant he turned around, his expression was extremely ugly, and his eyes flickered with a frightful coldness. Duan Ling Tian and the 2 girls had just returned home. Whoosh! Whoosh! The 2 little pythons flew towards Duan Ling Tian and Ku'er, coiling around their wrists. After which, they extended their small heads to size up the young girl with a seducing body and beautiful appearance. Their eyes were filled with curiosity. These are snakes you 2 are raising? Li Fei was slightly startled when she saw them. So cute. Under Duan Ling Tian's slightly dazed gaze, Li Fei extended her hand to touch the little black python that was coiled on his wrist. The little black python closed its eyes in enjoyment. After a short moment, the little black python's body flashed as it actually coiled itself around Li Fei's wrist. Pervert! Duan Ling Tian looked at the little black python with an envious gaze. Tian Ku'er, who is this? At this moment, Li Ro walked out of her room. her gaze completely attracted by Li Fei. Li Fei was really too outstanding. In terms of appearance, she was not even slightly inferior to Ku Er. Moreover, because of her age being 18, she had fully revealed her womanly charms. "Mom, this is your future daughter-in-law." Duan Ling Tian laughed slyly. "Hello, Aunt Ro, I'm Li Fei." Giving Duan Ling Tian an angry look, Li Fei lightly smiled as she greeted Li Ro. Good, good. You all talk. I'll go prepare dinner." Li Ro's face seemed to bleed like a flower as she entered the kitchen. "Madam, I'll help you." Ku Er followed behind. "Little Fei, you still haven't told me how you knew that I obtained rewards from the patriarch and purposely admitted defeat." Duan Ling Tian's eyes stared fixedly at Li Fei. "Why should I tell you?" Li Fei gave Duan Ling Tian a disdainful glare. "You're my future wife. What's with all the whys?" Duan Ling Tian laughed slyly. "Pei, you're shameless. Who's your future wife?" Li Fei ignored Duan Ling Tian altogether, extending her jade-like hand to lightly play with the little python. The little python wasn't even slightly shy with stranger, playing happily on Li Fei's hand. As an amorous weapons specialist who swept through the flower bushes, Duan Ling Tian was naturally able to notice that since he saved Li Fei on the combat arena, Li Fei's attitude towards him was completely different. If he was so coquettish to her before, she would surely get enraged. He believed that as long as he put in a bit more effort, he would surely be able to completely conquer the peerless seductive beauty before him. Not long after, someone paid them a visit. Someone had sent over an extremely long box. Duan Ling Tian opened it and smiled in satisfaction at what he saw. He didn't expect Patriarch Li Ao to have such high efficiency, sending over the items so quickly. "This is 350-year-old bloodlingji?" Li Fei recognized the bloodlingji that lay in the box. She was startled for a moment before looking at Duan Ling Tian in disbelief. "Didn't you already guess it?" Duan Ling Tian smiled. "Your prizes this time are even better than Li Qing's. Li Qing only got the prize for the champion, but you not only obtained the champion's prize, you also got the prize for the top 3. Li Fei glanced at Duan Ling Tian in admiration. "How about it? Me being your man won't bring shame to you, right?" Duan Ling Tian laughed slyly, his burning gaze descending upon the 2 jade-like hills on Li Fei's chest. His lower regions became slightly hot. "Where are you looking?" Li Fei's beautiful eyebrows knit together as her seducing face blushed until her neck. "You're so beautiful." Duan Ling Tian's breathing became rapid. He took a deep breath before finally being able to ease up his restless mood. "Really? Even pearls aren't so real. Didn't you say that I need to lose weight?" I lied. Even though Duan Ling Tian and Li Fei didn't make any real progress for the time being, for now, Li Fei wasn't disgusted by him anymore, and to him, this was good news in itself. Now what he needed to do was strike the iron while it was still hot. Duan Ling Tian smiled lightly as he asked Li Fei, "Tomorrow afternoon, I plan to take a trip to the misty forest with Ku Er. Are you interested? Asking me to be a third wheel? I won't go." Li Fei gave Duan Ling Tian a disdainful glance. "Then forget it. I was even thinking of bringing you along to see a snow python. Hee, a fierce beast comparable to a nascent soul powerhouse. That's something that is rarely seen in anyone's lifetime." Duan Ling Tian heaved a sigh on purpose. "What? Snow python?" Li Fei's clear eyes shone, and her beautiful and seductive face emitted a slight excitement. She had heard of the news from before. A snow python had appeared in the misty forest. This news caused her to feel incomparably shocked, and in her heart she was filled with curiosity and yearning. Duan Ling Tian lowered his head, busy playing with the little black python on his own. "Hey, you really have a way to meet the snow python?" Li Fei asked in a light voice. Duan Ling Tian didn't raise his head as if he didn't hear her. "Hey!" Li Fei groaned. Duan Ling Tian had a lazy expression as he slowly said, "Hey what? My name isn't Hey. Weren't you uninterested?" "You." Suddenly, Li Fei seemed agitated. Her clear eyes had signs of tearing up as if she would cry at any moment. "What are you doing? What's there to cry about? I'll bring you along." He was thrown into a panic as the scene before him was something he never expected. From his past life until this present lifetime, the thing he couldn't stand seeing the most was a woman's tears. You promised. You're not allowed to shamelessly go against your word. Li Fei's seducing and beautiful face emitted a smile that showed that her scheme had succeeded. I got cheated. Only now did Duanling Tian realize, and he had a bitter smile on his face. Li Fei and Ku Er were complete polar opposites. Maybe it was this that caused him to fall in love with Li Fei at first sight. That night, after dinner, Duanling Tian sent Li Fei home. Only now did he notice that Li Fei's house was right behind his, only divided by a small alley. Even if he walked through the main door, circling around wouldn't even be a few tens of meters distance. And if he were to directly leap over the wall, he could even save on the extra distance. After returning home, Duanling Tian entered his room and started to cultivate. The 9 Dragons War Sovereign Techniques Spirit Serpent Form Mental Cultivation Method had already been cultivated to the highest stage. What he needed to do now was to cultivate the 9 Dragons War Sovereign Techniques second form, Raging Python form. Now that his fleshly body had reached the peak of the body tempering stage, Duanling Tian noticed that the 7 Treasures body tempering liquid had become completely useless to him. What he needed to do now was cultivate his Raging Python form mental cultivation method to develop origin energy. Once he develops his origin energy, he will be a core formation martial artist. His strength would once again increase. Tomorrow, I'll go buy some origin gathering pills. It's going to cost me an arm and leg. Duanling Tian had a painful expression. The origin gathering pill is a grade 8 medicinal pill, a type of medicinal pill that assists body tempering martial artists in increasing their speed of developing origin energy. It's a medicinal pill used for stepping into the core formation stage, so it's extremely expensive. A single pill costs 10,000 silver. Martial artists with good natural talent need to consume at least 10 origin gathering pills if they want to step into the core formation stage in a short amount of time. Martial artists with bad natural talent, on the other hand, need at least tens of pills. Of course, it wasn't necessary, but if not consumed, even a martial artist with good natural talent would need to spend a few years of bitter cultivation in order to break through to the core formation stage. For example, the core formation martial artists of the Fresh Breeze Town Branch family, including its patriarch, Li Nanfeng, and all its elders. When all of them cultivated from the body tempering stage to the core formation stage all those years ago, even the individuals among them with good natural talent used 3 to 5 years of time, whereas the individuals with bad natural talent used 7 to 8 years of time. Not due to any other reason, but just because they didn't have the capability to use origin gathering pills. During this year's clan martial meet, including Li Fei, the 5 youth geniuses were only able to step into the core formation stage at the mere age of 18 because besides having good natural talent, they consumed origin gathering pills. Medicinal pills were capable of changing a person's life. This was the reason alchemists had such a lofty position in Cloud Continent. The higher the alchemist's grade, the higher his status. They are figures that are fought over for by various powers. It's too bad that I haven't developed my origin energy. Once I do so, I'll be a grade 9 alchemist. Duanling Tian sighed in his heart. If an ordinary person wanted to become an alchemist, even with extremely high alchemist natural talent and with the guidance of a master, it would still require a few years of painstaking cultivation to master the rudiments. However, Duanling Tian possessed the memories of Rebirth Martial Emperor. Rebirth Martial Emperor was a royal-grade alchemist. In terms of alchemy, he could be considered the second Rebirth Martial Emperor. As long as his origin energy fulfilled the required conditions, he would be an alchemist with extremely abundant experience. What other alchemists knew, he knew. What other alchemists didn't know, he still knew. The pressing matter at the moment is developing origin energy and stepping into the core formation stage so that I can become an alchemist. At that time, I can refine medicinal pills that increase the core formation stage cultivation and even let Mother undergo a metamorphosis, allowing her to cultivate a top-ranked cultivation method. Duanling Tian drew in a deep breath. His attention quickly returned to the Raging Python form mental cultivation method. This, After looking through the Raging Python method mental cultivation method for a while, Duanling Tian's pupils constricted. As expected of the cultivation method created by Rebirth Martial Emperor who had undergone 2 lifetimes. This 9 Dragons War's sovereign technique's second form, Raging Python form, besides allowing the cultivator to develop origin energy like ordinary martial artists, it also allowed the cultivator to temper the fleshy body with origin energy, causing the fleshy body to undergo another metamorphosis. Once Duanling Tian cultivated to the first level of the core formation stage by relying upon the Raging Python form, besides controlling similar origin energy as ordinary martial artists, he could still use his origin energy to temper his fleshly body, allowing his fleshly to once again undergo a metamorphosis. The mere strength of the fleshly body would transform from the current strength of 3 ancient mammoths to a strength of 4 ancient mammoths, adding on the origin energy, which was comparable to the strength of an ancient mammoth. In other words, the moment he steps into the first level of the core formation stage, he will possess the strength of 5 ancient mammoths. The strength of 5 ancient mammoths? Compared to the 4th level of the core formation stage, it was slightly weaker. Compared to the 3rd level of the core formation stage, it would be slightly stronger. Drawing in a deep breath, Duanling Tian started to cultivate. But without origin gathering pills, his cultivation process was extremely slow. Until late into the night, there wasn't any obvious progress. I'm still too impatient. Shaking his head, Duanling Tian went off to sleep. He slept until the sky was bright. Morning the next day. After eating breakfast, he brought Ku-Er along and left. He arrived once again at the medicine store in the Aurora City Trade Market that he sold his 6 treasures body tempering liquid at. Customer, you've finally arrived. Seeing Duanling Tian, the manager seemed as if he had found his savior. He hurriedly came over and greeted him. What, you're all sold out? Duanling Tian laughed. It's all sold out. An entire 2,000 portions, completely sold. The manager nodded, withdrawing a stack of silver bills from his pocket and handing them over to Duanling Tian. This is... Duanling Tian was dazed. Customer, you concocted 2,000 portions of 6 treasures body tempering liquid the other day. I sold them at a price of 200 silver a portion, but the supply wasn't enough to meet the demand. According to our agreement, you get 80% of the sales, which totals to 320,000 silver. Deducting the 200,000 silver I gave you the other day, this is the balance 120,000 silver. The manager explained. 200 silver a portion? Duanling Tian was startled, following which he shook his head and laughed. You really need to be shrewd to do business. Customer, since you're here, how about you concoct the 6 treasures body tempering liquid once more? The manager looked at Duanling Tian with anticipation. I came here this time because of that. Help me prepare the medicinal materials. Duanling Tian nodded. They are already ready. When Duanling Tian and Ku-Er entered the small room and saw the 2 large crocks and the large pile of medicinal materials, they were both stupefied. This time, he spent an entire 2 hours to concoct the 2 large crocks of 6 treasures body tempering liquid. After checking the wares, the manager was slightly worried as he said, Customer, I don't have much liquid funds on hand, so I'll only be able to give you 200,000 silver in advance. How about it? Once these medicinal liquids are sold out, I'll give you the remaining silver. After all, no matter which medicine store Duanling Tian brought this batch of 6 treasures body tempering liquid to, he would still be able to sell it and maybe even get a higher price. It's not a problem, of course. I trust you, manager. Duanling Tian nodded, putting away another 200,000 silver bills. Sometimes, trust went 2 ways. Manager, it can't be that you alone divided the large crock of 6 treasure body tempering liquid from last time into 2,000 portions, right? Duanling Tian looked at the manager with a strange gaze. Of course not. I couldn't trust others, so I got people from my family members to divide it. The manager laughed. Oh yeah, manager. Do you know which medicine store in the Aurora City Trade Market sells origin gathering pills? Duanling Tian inquired. Origin gathering pills? I'm afraid you probably need to go to the branch medicine stores that are under the 3 great clans of Aurora City. Customer, your Li clan's branch medicine store, Spirit Reserve's pavilion is just at the street in front. The manager pointed outside. Duan Ling Tian nodded as he took Ku Er along and left the medicine store. After a short moment, he arrived at the Spirit Reserve's pavilion the manager spoke about. As expected of the Li clan's branch medicine store, the total area of the Spirit Reserve's pavilion was extremely large and even divided into 2 floors. Customer, may I know what you need? After just entering the door, an attendant greeted in a respectful tone. I want some origin gathering pills. Duan Ling Tian proclaimed his reason for coming. The origin gathering pills are on the 2nd floor. Customer, please follow me. The attendant brought Duan Ling Tian and Ku Er to the 2nd floor. This customer here needs some origin gathering pills, the attendant told the female attendant behind the counter before returning to the 1st floor. Customer, may I ask how many origin gathering pills you need? The female attendant had average looks, but her smile was extremely cheerful and bright. Duan Ling Tian patted the silver pills in his pocket before slowly saying, "Give me 32 pills." Hearing what he said, the female attendant was shocked, but she quickly reacted anyway. Customer, are you sure it's 32 pills? 1 origin gathering pill is? The female attendant was slightly hesitant. Is 10,000 silver, right? Duan Ling Tian smiled indifferently as he withdrew the stack of silver bills he got from the medicine store manager, directly throwing it on the counter. Customer, I'm sorry. I'll go prepare them for you right away. After seeing so many silver bills, she knew that the youth wasn't joking. The female attendant let out a breath of cold air before replying to him and going to prepare the origin gathering pills. Young master, what medicinal pill are you buying? It's so expensive. Ku Er playfully poked out her tongue with an expression of shock. Duan Ling Tian smiled as he said, the origin gathering pill, it's a medicinal pill that can help us to break through to the core formation stage earlier. Spending money like drinking water was exactly what Duan Ling Tian was doing right now. 32 origin gathering pills cost him all the silver bills he had gotten from the medicine store manager earlier. These silver bills hadn't even gotten warm before he spent them. But Duan Ling Tian did not regret it one bit. In the journey of cultivation, if you wanted to take shortcuts, then you must certainly be willing to spend money. Noon. Duan Ling Tian had just finished eating lunch with his family when Li Fei arrived. She wore light violet clothes that were slightly tight, making the young girl who seemed to be maturing like a honey peach look like a seductive rose. Her gracefully slender figure charmed all living creatures. Duan Ling Tian's lower regions were burning. This Li Fei was really an attractive beauty. Suddenly, Duan Ling Tian withdrew his greedy eyes and instead gazed toward Li Fei's right hand. At this moment, on the slender fingers of Li Fei's white, jade-like hands, besides her thumb, they all had pitch-black rings on them. These rings were interconnected to each other, looking simple and unadorned. Spirit weapon, Duan Ling Tian thought in his heart. His face had a shocked expression. Besides being a royal-grade alchemist, Rebirth Martial Emperor was also a royal-grade weapons craftsman. Duan Ling Tian inherited his memories, so he was able to recognize with a glance that the rings on Li Fei's hand was a spirit weapon. Grade 9 spirit weapon. He remembered that during the clan martial meet yesterday, Li Fei didn't use this spirit weapon, or else Lian would certainly not be her match. Li Fei quickly noticed Duan Ling Tian's gaze descending upon her right hand. She couldn't help but be visibly moved as her heart jerked. Could it be that he recognized that the thing on her hand was a spirit weapon? After a moment, Duan Ling Tian gave her the answer. Little Fei, during the clan martial meet, why didn't you use this grade 9 spirit weapon? If you had used it, Lian would not necessarily be your match. Duan Ling Tian's eyes narrowed as he gave her a spurious smile. I wanted to use it, but my grandfather took it away saying it would be unfair to the others, Li Fei said with a slight, hidden bitterness. She was slightly shocked in her heart. This Duan Ling Tian was actually able to identify the spirit weapon on her hand with only just a glance. After all, only a weapons craftsman with great experience and eyesight could do so. Otherwise, even if the cultivation of the martial artist was extremely high, they would still only be able to notice and identify the spirit weapon when it was utilized. She suddenly felt that it was even harder to see through this youth than before. There seemed to be a cloud of mist surrounding him. For a moment, a boundless curiosity arose in her heart. She yearned to open up this cloud of mist and completely see through Duanling Tian. Duanling Tian nodded as he slowly said, "That's true. Your spirit weapon, although it's a grade 9 spirit weapon, the abilities it amplifies is nearly on par with a grade 8 spirit weapon. I assume the grade 9 weapons craftsman that refined this spirit weapon for you has already touched the grade 9 threshold." The words that Duanling Tian spoke struck her like lightning. The fact that her grandfather was soon to become a grade 8 weapons craftsman was something she only recently found out. She was certain that besides her and her grandfather, there was absolutely no third person that knew about this in the entire Li clan. But now the youth who had only glanced at the spirit weapon on her hand was able to ascertain that her grandfather was soon to become a grade 8 weapons craftsman. "You, how did you notice?" Li Fei's tone was hurried, slightly impatient to know the answer. "You want to know?" Duanling Tian smiled mysteriously. Li Fei hurriedly nodded. "This is my secret. Besides my women, I won't tell anyone else." The corners of Duanling Tian's mouth curled up into an evil smile. She said, in an angry manner, if you don't want to say, then don't. I don't really care." How could Li Fei not realize that Duanling Tian was flirting with her? "You really don't care?" Duanling Tian asked again. "Don't care." Li Fei was currently angry, so she replied in a very straightforward manner. Duanling Tian purposely sighed as he slowly said, "Okay, then forget it. I originally wanted to warn you that although the weapons craftsman that refined this spirit weapon for you is soon to become a grade 8 weapons craftsman, I still hope you advise him not to forcefully increase the grade of his weapon flame for the time being." "What do you mean?" Li Fei's seductive and beautiful face slightly turned pale. Duanling Tian didn't answer Li Fei's question, but instead said, "If I'm not wrong, recently, every day deep into the night, the weapons craftsman feels the origin energy inside his body having a burning feeling. It's so bad that he even has a hard time falling asleep." Li Fei's face turned slightly red as she angrily said, "How did you know the current condition of my grandfather? You crossed over the wall to peek into our house?" This was something she knew about, and she even specially got some soothing medicines for her grandfather, but they were all useless. "Do I seem like such a bored person?" Duanling Tian was speechless. He was kindly trying to warn Li Fei, but instead was unjustly accused. He didn't continue to say anything more. He admitted that he was amorous, but he wouldn't commit such a vulgar act. Li Fei noticed that Duanling Tian didn't have any intention of paying attention to her anymore. This made her realize that she might have unjustly accused him. Could it be that everything Duanling Tian said was through what he observed from the spirit weapon on her hand? But this was truly unbelievable. Drawing in a deep breath, Li Fei turned to Ku-er for help. "Young master, don't be angry anymore. Big sister Li Fei didn't do it intentionally." Ku-er persuaded him with a light smile. "Ku-er, everyone needs to be responsible for what they have done. You can help her for a time, but you can't help her for a lifetime," Duanling Tian said indifferently. Ku-er realized that the young master was really angry. She could only look at Li Fei with an expression that showed that she was powerless to assist her. Li Fei's face turned red out of anger. Her clear eyes contained tears. "This again?" Duanling Tian looked at her with a cold and indifferent gaze as he ignored her. "You're bullying me. Woo-woo." Li Fei finally exploded, her tears flowing as she cried, unable to be stopped. F***K. She's really crying. Duanling Tian was slightly speechless. He didn't feel wronged after being unjustly accused, but this little girl, what was she feeling wronged about? Anyone who didn't know would think he really did bully her. "Tian, did you bully Fei?" Li Ro walked out of the kitchen and looked at Duanling Tian with a frown. "I didn't." Duanling Tian was helpless. "Enough, I won't fuss about it with you. Stop crying." In the end, Duanling Tian chose to compromise. "Woo-woo, you bullied me." But Li Fei's tears were pouring down like the rain, completely without any intention of stopping. "If you want to continue crying, You can wait for something to happen to your grandfather. When Duan Ling Tian saw that being gentle didn't work, he directly went with the brutal method. This method was indeed effective. As Duan Ling Tian's voice sounded and ended, so did Li Fei's crying. What did you say? You said something might happen to my grandfather? Li Fei's voice was shaking. Her parents were met with an accident when she was still extremely young. So she and her grandfather had only each other to keep company. In her heart, her grandfather was even more important than herself. I sensed a trace of ruthless qi in the spirit weapon he refined. If I'm not wrong, your grandfather probably used an unorthodox method to forcefully increase the grade of his weapon flame. After a prolonged period, the root of his problems have long since been buried deep within him, Duan Ling Tian slowly said. At this moment, he seemed to be like a richly experienced weapons craftsman, speaking with reason and evidence. Then what should I do? Li Fei's pretty face turned pale and extremely anxious. It's not like there isn't any method. Ask him to temporarily not increase his weapon flame's grade, or else he won't live for more than 3 months. Duan Ling Tian's tone was tranquil. Enough. You go and warn your grandfather. I and Ku Er will wait for you outside the North City Gate. Get your own horse. He notified Li Fei before returning to his room. After Li Fei left, Duan Ling Tian and Ku Er brought the 2 little pythons along as they left their house and left the Li clan estate. They galloped their horses out of the North City Gate and waited for Li Fei. After half an hour, Li Fei arrived. Li Fei seemed valiant and heroic in bearing as she galloped over, but her expression wasn't really well.
What?
Duan Ling Tian frowned. My grandfather said. Li Fei was hesitant to speak. He didn't believe me and even said that I'm just a kid. What would I know, right? Duan Ling Tian was not one bit surprised. Li Fei lightly nodded. Then there's nothing I can do. Duan Ling Tian spread out his hands to express that he had the heart to help but was powerless. My grandfather promised me that before we return, he won't try to increase the grade of his weapon flame. After we return, can you go take a look at my grandfather? As Li Fei finished speaking, she had a begging expression. Duan Ling Tian took a deep glance at Li Fei as he asked, What, now you believe me? Li Fei hurriedly nodded. Okay, I'll promise you. Duan Ling Tian nodded. Following which, he brought along the 2 young girls who were beautiful like flowers straight towards the misty forest. After arriving at the misty forest, Li Fei's mood was much better. But she lacked a bit of the liveliness that she used to have. After all, her grandfather's matter had already become a knot in her heart. After entering the misty forest, Ku Er asked, Young master, how should we find Little White's and Little Black's father? I don't know either. Let's go to the black python's nest from before. Maybe we can meet the snow python there, Duan Ling Tian said. What you mean is, Little Black and Little White are the offspring of the snow python? Li Fei was slightly shocked. That is our current guess. Duan Ling Tian nodded. Duan Ling Tian's group quickly arrived at the black python's nest. Presently, there were only traces of dried blood outside the black python's nest. The black python's corpse and the corpse of the few youths and young girls had all vanished, probably eaten by fierce beasts. Whoosh! Whoosh! Suddenly, the 2 little pythons that were coiled around Duan Ling Tian and Ku Er's wrists flashed out. They went directly into the depths of the misty forest. Let's follow them. Duan Ling Tian brought Ku Er and Li Fei along as he followed them. Duan Ling Tian guessed that the 2 little pythons might have sensed the presence of their father. This is already the inner area. If we go any deeper, there will be plenty of fierce beasts. Li Fei warned. I know. We'll journey from atop the trees. Duan Ling Tian brought the 2 girls along as he climbed up a large tree to the side. Using the dense tree branches as a road, he followed the 2 little pythons. Although the treetops didn't lack bird-type fierce beasts, their numbers were not large as mammal-type fierce beasts. Overall, the top of the trees were much safer. Roar! Suddenly, a beast roar sounded. An enormous fierce beast blocked the path of the 2 little pythons. Looking fiercely at the 2 little things, its sharp fang flickered with devilish brilliance. Not good. Noticing the enormous fierce beast, Duanling Tian's expression turned grim. It's the savage tiger. Its strength is comparable to a martial artist at the 4th level of the core formation stage. Li Fei's face was slightly pale. Little white, little black. Ku Er's face was filled with worry. Hiss hiss. The two little pythons' sharp eyes flickered with a fierce light as they stared at the enormous being in front of them. Their tongues flicked swiftly like bolts of lightning. Growl. Suddenly, the savage tiger let out a low growl, dropping down with a loud bang as it lay down on all fours. Its enormous body was slightly trembling as if it were submitting itself in worship. Whoosh, whoosh. The two little pythons ignored the savage tiger, continuing to hurry on with their journey. After transforming into two white and black bolts of lightning, they gradually disappeared ahead. Let's go. Duanling Tian suppressed his shock and hurriedly followed. Li Fei and Ku Er both had shocked expressions. In front of the savage tiger, the extremely small little guys were actually able to make the savage tiger submit itself. It was truly inconceivable. Duanling Tian, however, thought of a possibility. If the two little pythons were really the offspring of the snow python, they would surely have the snow python's aura on their bodies. As a fierce beast that was comparable to a nascent soul stage powerhouse, the snow python was surely one of the leader-ranked existences in the misty forest. Intimidating all beasts was a simple matter to the snow python. Thus, because the two little pythons possessed the aura of the snow python, the savage tiger naturally didn't dare act rashly. It has to be said that the luck of Duanling Tian's group was quite good. During the entire journey hurrying atop the large trees, they didn't meet any terrifying bird-type fierce beasts. Although the two little pythons bumped into a few mammal-type fierce beasts, they were all threatening but not dangerous encounters, and the snow python's aura frightened those fierce beasts. Everywhere they passed, all beasts submitted themselves. If he didn't see it for himself, Duanling Tian wouldn't dare believe all this to be true. Eventually, under the lead of the little pythons, Duanling Tian's group arrived at the deepest area of the misty forest. Bang! Suddenly, a loud sound echoed from afar, causing the ground to quake and hills to tremble. The large trees beneath Duanling Tian's group shook slightly, but they stabilized themselves with great difficulty. Continuing forward, the area in front of them suddenly cleared up. A shocking scene appeared before their eyes. Ahead, on a vast empty space, a gigantic python that was fully snow white and was 20 or 30 meters long was battling a gray-clothed old man. The python's body was smeared with blood stains, obviously having suffered considerable injuries. The old man was also in a sorry state, and his aura was in disorder. Whoosh! The old man's gaze turned cold as he abruptly lifted his hand. The 3-foot-long blade flickered with a dazzling brilliance. Instantly, a wisp of sword chi condensed into form, accompanying the 3-foot-long blade as it was waved out, piercing through the air as it flashed straight towards the gigantic python. At the same time, the force of heaven and earth shook above the old man and a thick, white mist condensed, transforming into numerous ancient mammoth silhouettes. At least a few hundred. Whoosh! The gigantic python's tail flashed out as if transforming into a white bolt of lightning. Its tail was covered in a layer of force that seemed similar to white mist as it collided with the sword chi. Once again, a few hundred ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared above the gigantic python, drawing upon the forces of wind and lightning. Bang! The sword chi dissipated and white mist fell. The man and python were equally matched. Origin energy discharge, nascent soul stage powerhouse. Li Fei's face was drenched in sweat and her breath became slightly hurried. Only a nascent soul stage powerhouse was capable of discharging origin energy. Not good. Suddenly, Duanling Tian seemed to have noticed something. His face turned slightly grim as he flew down. Spirit serpent movement technique. Before the two little pythons who didn't understand things rushed into the battlefield, he caught up to them and grabbed them with his hands. Hiss hiss. The two little pythons had eyes filled with anxiousness. Little guys, I know you're worried, but if you go in, it will only cause your father to be distracted. Although he didn't know if the little pythons would understand, Duanling Tian still explained it to them. Hiss hiss. The two little pythons restlessly watched the nearby python and man that were battling. Meanwhile, Ku-er and Li Fei came down as well. They arrived beside Duanling Tian and concealed themselves behind a large tree together. Snow Python, instead of hibernating properly, you came out and killed 6 of my He clan origin core disciples, causing my He clan's vitality to be injured. Today, I, He Zhu Dao, will certainly kill you. I will then shower the souls of my He clan disciples with your blood. The gray-clothed old man's sword flashed like lightning as he battled the snow python. His voice was cold and indifferent. He Zhu Dao. Li Fei exclaimed in a low voice as her eyes flashed with a cold light. You know of him? Duanling Tian asked curiously. I heard my grandfather speak of him. He's the supreme elder of Aqua Mist City's He clan and a formidable nascent soul stage powerhouse. I didn't expect that he would actually move out to take revenge for his He clan's disciples. Li Fei's tone was slightly more hurried. Aqua Mist City's He clan? Only now did Duanling Tian think of the news that spread about a while back. The few origin core martial artists that were killed by the snow python were supposedly from Aqua Mist City's He clan. Bang, 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 bang. The battle continued. Duanling Tian's group was dazed as they watched. He Zhu Dao's and the snow python's speed was just too swift. Looks like if I want to kill you today, I must pay a price. Being able to die under this inscription can also be considered your good fortune. He Zhu Dao's cold and indifferent voice was mixed with boundless confidence. Whoosh! He directly flashed towards the snow python, moving towards its bloody mouth. Die! He Zhu Dao's voice was cold as ice. The 3-foot-long blade in his hand abruptly glowed with a layer of blood qi as it flew out and entered the snow python's bloody mouth. Not good. Duanling Tian's expression turned grim. He recognized the inscription on He Zhu Dao's spirit weapon. Bang! A loud noise sounded as blood burst forth from below the snow python's head. A terrifying force was spreading through the snow python's entire body. Strands of blood shot out from every corner of the snow python's body, causing it to feel extreme pain and go completely berserk. This was also its last struggle before death. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The berserk snow python swept its tail wildly, continuously smashing upon He Zhu Dao's body, blasting him down to the ground. The python's tail descended over and over again, causing the origin energy on He Zhu Dao's body to be completely destroyed. His aura was dispirited and on the verge of death. Only after the snow python's enormous body finally smashed onto the ground did the seriously injured He Zhu Dao show a smile. He had succeeded, exchanging the life of the snow python for himself being seriously injured. It was worth it. As long as he slightly gathered his breath, he could withdraw a grade 7 gold injury pill and recover his injuries. Whoosh, whoosh. The two little pythons broke away from Duanling Tian's control the moment the snow python's body smashed to the ground, flashing towards the snow python. Hiss hiss. They arrived in front of the snow python and crossed eyes with it. Their eyes gleamed with tears. After the two little pythons appeared, the snow python's cold and emotionless completely melted, transforming into strands of doting. Being able to see its children before it died, it didn't have any regrets. At this moment, Ku-er and Li Fei had arrived before the snow python. Ku-er took the little white python in her hand as she gently said to the snow python, "We'll take good care of them." The snow python's eyes emitted a trace of gratitude before they slowly dimmed down. Hiss hiss. The two little pythons' eyes flickered with the gleam of tears, slowly becoming wet. The seriously injured He Zhu Dao, who was far away, heard their voices, and his face turned grim. The current him was extremely weak, so even an ordinary person was capable of killing him. He quickly noticed that a violet-clothed youth had arrived in front of him. His gaze descended upon the Li clan crest on the chest of the youth. "You're a member of Aurora City's Li clan? I'm good friends with your Li clan's supreme elder Li Qiu. Hurry up and feed me the medicinal pill in my hand for me to consume. I will properly reward you. Whatever you want, I'll give it to you." He Zhu Dao's tone was slightly hurried, as if deeply afraid that the youth would attack him. Presently, he didn't even have the strength to lift a hand. Duanling Tian lowered his head and looked. On He Zhu Dao's palm, a jade-green medicinal pill appeared out of thin air. His eyes abruptly shone. It wasn't because of being shocked by the medicinal pill. Although a grade 7 gold injury pill was valuable, he inherited the memories of the Rebirth Martial Emperor after all, so he didn't consider a grade 7 gold injury pill to be worthy of his notice. His attention descended upon the simple ring on He Zhu Dao's finger. He discerned it to be a spatial ring. The spatial ring was different from a normal ring. It was a type of marvelous ring that contained a space within, able to contain items conveniently. On Cloud Continent, only a weapons craftsman at grade 7 or above was capable of refining a spatial ring. Even the Li clan's patriarch didn't own a spatial ring. Maybe only the Li clan's ancestor had one. Squatting down, Duanling Tian took the grade 7 gold injury pill in his hand. Quickly, give me, consume. He Zhu Dao's eyes flickered with a light of anticipation. Duanling Tian's eyes narrowed as he asked, "If I let you consume this medicinal pill, are you willing to remove your ownership of the spatial ring and gift it to me?" Once a spatial ring was dripped with one's blood, it formed an ownership, meaning only the owner would be able to use it. Unless the owner removed the ownership of his own free will, or the owner died, others wouldn't be able to use the spatial ring. Instantly, He Zhu Dao's pupils constricted. The most valuable item on him was undoubtedly the spatial ring. His breathing became hurried and a killing intent flashed in his eyes. In the end, he painstakingly eased up the agitation in his heart. "Gift. I'll gift it." He Zhu Dao agreed. Who was Duanling Tian? A man who lived through battlefields. How could he not have noticed the killing intent that flashed in He Zhu Dao's eyes? Duanling Tian sneered in his heart as he placed his hand on his waist, touching the hilt of his violet meteorite flexible sword. Just when he was preparing to kill He Zhu Dao and seize his spatial ring. "Don't believe him." Li Fei walked over. "Huh." Duanling Tian was dazed. He Zhu Dao can't be trusted. 60 years ago, he even killed his companion who went out on adventures with him. He killed him without hesitation just for a spirit weapon, Li Fei said. "You. Who are you?" He Zhu Dao's pupils constricted. This secret was something that in the entire world, only he should know. Maybe you didn't know, but one of the people you killed that year wrote down a blood letter before death and concealed it within his personal belongings. That person was the father of my grandfather. You probably won't forget him for your entire lifetime. Li Fei's eyes emitted a dense hatred. Li Hua. Glancing at the Li clan crest on Li Fei's clothes, He Zhu Dao's breathing became rapid. "Looks like you've guessed it." Li Fei sneered. "So it turns out that you killed my future wife's great-grandfather? You can only blame yourself for being unfortunate." Duanling Tian's face had a fiendish smile. This was a timely opportunity for him to make use of. Whoosh! His violet meteorite flexible sword soundlessly entered He Zhu Dao's chest, piercing through his heart. Poochie! The violet meteorite flexible sword descended and blood sprayed everywhere. Li Fei's complexion turned pale. Although she had killed many wild animals in the misty forest, she had never once killed a person. Now that a well and alive person was killed right in front of her eyes, it caused her to feel disgusted, and she ran aside to vomit. Putting away the violet meteorite flexible sword, Duanling Tian extended his hand and removed He Zhu Dao's spatial ring. After biting open his index finger, he dripped blood on the ring to establish ownership. Hiss! A feeling of being joined by blood descended upon him. Duanling Tian's face couldn't help but curl into a smile. Possessing Rebirth Martial Emperor's lifetime worth of memories allowed Duanling Tian to use the spatial ring like how he directed his arm. F***K, so small. When his thoughts entered into the spatial ring, he saw that there was a mere 1 cubic meter of space. He was dazed for a moment before he couldn't stop himself from shouting in vulgarities. "You're the He clan's supreme elder, but you're actually using the lowest grade spatial ring." As he said this, Duanling Tian glanced in contempt at He Zhu Dao's body. It was imaginable that if Zhu Dao wasn't dead, he would certainly be angered to the point of spitting blood. Never mind, I'll just improvise. Duan Ling Tian didn't wear the spatial ring on his hand, but instead kept it in his pocket. The spatial ring wasn't something that could be exposed in public. Only once he steps into the core formation stage and becomes a weapons craftsman, he can alter the spatial ring's outer appearance. Only then could he publicly use the spatial ring. How is this the He clan's supreme elder? He's virtually a pauper. Besides a few grade 7 gold injury pills and a few cultivation methods on martial skills, there is actually only a bit over 100 silver of spare change. After examining the items inside the spatial ring, Duan Ling Tian couldn't help but mock him. Duan Ling Tian, however, didn't know that as the He clan's supreme elder, Zhu Dao had an extraordinary status. If he wanted money, the He clan would spare no effort to fulfill his request, so he didn't have a need of keeping silver on his body. His face represented an enormous wealth. Following this was destroying the corpse and obliterating all tracks. Duan Ling Tian lit a fire and directly burned Zhu Dao's corpse. Where's the snow python's nest? After looking for a long while, Duan Ling Tian was unable to locate the snow python's nest. His treasure hunt completely came to nothing. Damned Zhu Dao, not to mention you yourself are poor. You even destroyed the snow python's body to such an extent. The blood explosion inscription, you were actually willing to use it. Looking at the snow python's badly destroyed body, Duan Ling Tian had a pained expression. As the king of the fierce beasts, the snow python's entire body was filled with treasures, but it was completely destroyed by Zhu Dao. Just at this moment, Duan Ling Tian's eyes shone. On the snow python's body, a white ball that flickered with a faint brilliance floated up. Beast core. Duan Ling Tian's breathing became rapid. He didn't expect that the snow python's beast core was actually completely unharmed. Just when he walked out and wanted to fetch the beast core, the smile on his face froze completely. Whoosh, whoosh. The two little pythons flashed out, quickly dividing and consuming the snow python's beast core. Never mind. Even if I took the beast core, I would have no use for it in the near future. I might as well let them take it. Duan Ling Tian quickly got over it. A human was unable to directly consume a fierce beast's beast core. If consumed, the lighter consequence would be chi deviation, whereas the heavier consequence would be death by explosion. Humans could only use fierce beast cores as medicinal catalysts. Only after being combined with other valuable medicinal materials to refine into a medicinal pill can they be consumed. A beast core of a formidable fierce beast like the snow python that was comparable to a nascent soul martial artist would at least require a grade 7 alchemist to refine. Grade 7 alchemist. To Duan Ling Tian, it was quite a distance away. After burning the snow python's corpse as well, Duan Ling Tian brought Ku Er and Li Fei along as he left the misty forest. On the way back, that spatial ring. Li Fei looked at Duan Ling Tian with a spurious smile. Duan Ling Tian glared as he said, "Don't get any ideas about the spatial ring, it's mine." "I'm not. Even if I had any ideas about it, it would be of no use. I'm just curious. If someone knew you had that spatial ring, what would happen?" Li Fei's charm-filled eyes flickered with a faint, smiling expression. "Are you threatening me?" Duan Ling Tian's eyes narrowed as the corners of his mouth curled into grin. A bad omen arose in Li Fei's heart. As expected. Looks like someone doesn't want me to help her grandfather get well. Never mind. I'll save my energy. Duan Ling Tian mischievously smiled. Li Fei's face turned pale as she angrily said, You rascal. You plainly promised me." "Did I promise? Why, don't I know? Ku Er, did I promise her?" Duan Ling Tian glanced at Ku Er with a slight smile. At this moment, Ku Er was taking care of the two little pythons that had gone into a deep slumber after consuming the snow python's beast core. Her beautiful, clear eyes emitted a motherly brilliance. "Young master, I didn't hear anything." Ku Er naturally stood on Duan Ling Tian's side. You two are bullying me." Li Fei's eyes turned red as if they were about to tear up again. "Enough. As long as you keep today's matter a secret, I will surely return a healthy grandfather to you. Not only that, I can even allow him to smoothly become a grade 8 weapons craftsman without leaving behind any after effects. Duan Ling Tian compromised. Rascal! Li Fei smiled through her tears. Right, since your grandfather knows that He Zhu Dao killed his father years ago, why didn't he make the blood letter public? That would allow everyone to clearly see He Zhu Dao's true face. Duan Ling Tian asked about the uncertainty in his heart. Did you think my grandfather didn't want to? But when my grandfather found the blood letter, He Zhu Dao had already become Aqua Mist City's He clan's grand elder and had extraordinary status. Even if my grandfather made it public, it would be impossible for the Li clan to offend the He clan's grand elder over a disciple who had died years ago. Moreover, my grandfather was also worried that once the blood letter was made public, it would cause He Zhu Dao to get angry from embarrassment and even take revenge. At that time, my grandmother just happened to be pregnant with my father, so my grandfather chose to bear it patiently, and this matter slowly became a knot in his heart. Li Fei heaved a sigh. Now the knot in your grandfather's heart can be unlocked because this future son-in-law of his has taken revenge for him. Duan Ling Tian laughed slyly. Who would want to marry you? Li Fei gave Duan Ling Tian a disdainful glance as her enchantingly beautiful face blushed. Deeply afraid that Duan Ling Tian would notice, she hurriedly turned around. Under the setting sun, the outline of Aurora City eventually appeared before them. Duan Ling Tian and the two young girls returned directly to the Li clan estate. After asking Ku Er to take the two little pythons home first, he followed Li Fei and arrived at Li Fei's home. Fei, you're back? In the vast courtyard stood an old man that was over 70 years of age. The old man had a thin figure. It was as if he would be blown down by the wind. Grandfather, I have good news to tell you. Li Fei walked into the courtyard and grabbed the old man's hand. Her face emitted a light smile. The old man had a doting expression as he smiled and asked, "What good news?" Li Fei put her mouth close to the old man's ears and lightly said, "Grandfather, He Zhu Dao is dead." Instantly, the old man's body shook as if struck by lightning, and his breathing became hurried. The old man took in a deep breath and slowly said, "Fei, you can't joke about things like this." Even though he knew that this granddaughter of his had never lied to him before, what his granddaughter said right now was really too inconceivable. Grandfather, He Zhu Dao was killed by him. If you don't believe me, you can ask him. Noticing the old man didn't believe her, Li Fei instantly became anxious and hurriedly looked at Duan Ling Tian with an expression that said that she was begging for help. You're Duan Ling Tian? The old man's cloudy gaze instantly flickered with a sharp light and descended upon Duan Ling Tian, as if trying to see through him. But unfortunately, he was bound to be disappointed. Duan Ling Tian stood there, unmoved, like an immovable mountain. Not bad. You're worthy of your reputation. I now believe that you have the strength to defeat Li Qing. The old man nodded. Grandfather. Duan Ling Tian greeted the old man. Instantly, the old man was dumbstruck. Li Fei's face instantly blushed as she fiercely glared at Duan Ling Tian. Ha 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 ha. Noticing his granddaughter's expression, the old man seemed to have understood something and laughed out loud. Grandfather, it's not like that, Li Fei explained in panic. Fei, you don't have to be shy. Men should get married and women should be married. Moreover, I think this kid isn't bad. He has the qualifications to be my grandson-in-law. Although sometimes he likes to talk big, these are just small problems and are not a big deal. As the old man finished speaking, he seemed to contain a hidden meaning pointing to something. Grandfather, whether I'm talking big or not, you'll know soon. I'll first testify on behalf of Li Fei that your personal enemy who killed your father, He Zhu Dao, is indeed dead. He was killed by sword strike. This spatial ring is the best evidence. Duan Ling Tian withdrew the spatial ring from his pocket as he spoke. Then he handed it over to the old man. The old man's hands trembled as he received it and sized it up. The old man was agitated. Right. This is indeed He Zhu Dao's spatial ring. What exactly happened? He asked after returning the spatial ring to Duan Ling Tian. Duan Ling Tian quickly told the entire story to the old man. Snow python? Haha, the heavens aren't blind, the heavens aren't blind. The old man laughed loudly and joyfully. The knot in his heart for many years had finally been unlocked. For a moment, his face glowed as if becoming a few years younger. The old man gathered his breath before sincerely saying to Duan Ling Tian kid, thank you. We're family, so you don't have to be so courteous, grandfather. If I'm not wrong, besides having a burning sensation in your origin energy lately and having a hard time sleeping, when you refine weapons, you frequently feel restless and even feel like you have the heart but not the strength to complete the refinement, right? Duan Ling Tian said, with a serious face. The old man took a deep breath before asking in disbelief, Ling Tian kid, you can really notice my hidden injuries from forcefully increasing my weapon flames grade just by looking at the spirit weapon I refined? Of course. Not only can I notice the hidden injuries, I can even help grandfather heal them, but you have to wait until I step into the core formation stage, Duan Ling Tian said. Why? The old man was puzzled. Because only when I step into the core formation stage will I be able to condense a pill flame from my origin energy and refine a medicinal pill which can help grandfather's hidden injuries heal, Duan Ling Tian slowly said. Ling Tian kid, even if you have an alchemist's natural talent, becoming an alchemist isn't so simple. The old man laughed bitterly as he that felt Duan Ling Tian was reaching beyond his grasp. Grandfather, no matter what I say now, you wouldn't believe me. In 2 months at most, you will know whether what I said is true or false. Duan Ling Tian's body emitted strong self-confidence. Then I'll wait and see. The old man deeply glanced at Duan Ling Tian. But for the next 2 months, I hope grandfather stops any weapon refining, or else, once the weapon flame loses control, even I will be powerless. Duan Ling Tian had a serious expression. Okay, I'll give you 2 months' time. The old man nodded in agreement. Duan Ling Tian lightly smiled before taking his leave. Fei, do you think what he said can be trusted? The old man asked his granddaughter beside him. Grandfather, I have a feeling that he's very mysterious. I trust him. Li Fei lightly shook her head, and her clear eyes had a light flash in them. Fei, it's the first time I've seen you trust an outsider so much. Looks like it isn't one-sided between the two of you. Tell grandfather, when did you start to like him? The old man smiled. Grandfather, I don't like him. I'm ignoring you. Li Fei blushed from being ashamed. Then she directly returned to her room. This Duan Ling Tian is really not bad, and he even saved Li Fei's life before. Maybe. The smile on the old man's face disappeared as he lightly muttered to himself, seeming to be pondering about something. In a quiet room, Duan Ling Tian sat cross-legged on his bed and consumed an origin-gathering pill. Then he began cultivating. 9 dragons wore sovereign technique, raging python form. The medicinal strength of the origin-gathering pill transformed into a warm current, flowing into Duan Ling Tian's body. Duan Ling Tian guided the warm current with the raging python form mental cultivation method, circulating it around his body as he tried his best to develop origin energy. Even with origin-gathering pills, the development of origin energy wasn't something that could be completed in a short period of time. Until late at night, Duan Ling Tian still had no obvious progress. Duan Ling Tian understood that the increase of his cultivation wasn't something that could be accomplished in a single night. As such, he stopped cultivating after a while and went asleep. He slept until the sky was bright. The following few days peacefully went by. Life went on with a planned rhythm. Every morning, Duan Ling Tian would cultivate his spirit serpent movement technique in the courtyard. In the afternoon, relying upon the medicinal liquid concocted from the 350-year-old blood Lingji, he increased the cultivation of his defensive martial skill, greater teleportation. At night, he consumed the origin-gathering pill and cultivated the 9 dragons war sovereign technique to develop origin energy. His movement technique, the spirit serpent's movement technique, had already broken through the threshold and stepped into the mastery stage earlier when he saved Li Fei. Presently, when executed it, Duan Ling Tian's speed was swift to a shocking degree, but it was still a distance away from stepping into the perfection stage. His defensive martial skill, greater teleportation, had the assistance of the medicinal liquid concocted from the 350-year-old blood Lingji, so it advanced at a tremendous pace. Duan Tian was confident in cultivating his greater teleportation to step into the mastery stage within 2 months. As for his cultivation, as time went by, due to the abundant cultivation experience of Rebirth Martial Emperor, Duan Tian had already sensed the feeling of origin energy inside him. He believed that it wouldn't take him long before being able to successfully develop his origin energy. The flight of time was like a fleeting, white pony's shadow flashing past a crevice. A month later. Dawn. Young master, I've broken through. The young girl in light green clothes walked out from her room and lightly smiled to the youth in the courtyard. The youth was cultivating his movement technique. After hearing what she said, he stopped and stood there. The origin energy flickering on the young girl's hands caused the youth to be stunned. The young girl's natural talent had once again shocked him. Ko-air, from today onwards, you can officially start cultivating the sword skills of the Frost God Sword technique. Ku-air's breakthrough was slightly out of Duan Tian's expectations. Duan Tian was happy for her. According to what Ku-air said, she only consumed 7 origin gathering pills before successfully completing her breakthrough. According to the memories of Rebirth Martial Emperor, in terms of natural talent, Ku-air's present speed in breaking through to the core formation stage would be ranked in the top even in the entire Cloud continent. Up till now, Duan Tian had already consumed 9 origin gathering pills and was only halfway to the core formation stage. It would still be some time before he would be able to complete the final breakthrough. Of course, this didn't mean that Duan Tian's natural talent was inferior to Ku-air's. After all, they both cultivated different cultivation methods. Even though Ku-air broke through to the first level of the core formation stage, in terms of strength, she wasn't any different from an ordinary first-level core formation martial artist. So she was far from being comparable to the current Duan Tian. Afternoon. The two beauties at home went out to buy groceries, leaving Duan Tian alone. He was greeted an unexpected guest. The guest proclaimed himself to be from the Shao clan, and he came to send an invitation card. The invitation card had an air of dominance. On the front page, a 5-clawed godly dragon was weaved with silver threads. It had a lifelike appearance. Duan Tian had only just opened the invitation card and had not even read it when, "Looks like you received the hidden dragon invitation." A young girl wearing light violet clothes with a devilish body and an angel's face slowly walked into the courtyard. "Little Fei, what's a hidden dragon invitation?" Duan Tian looked at the young girl with a puzzled expression. Every year, Aurora City holds a gathering for the young geniuses of Aurora City's clans. Only our Aurora City's 3 great clans youths who seize the top 5 positions in their respective clans' martial meet are qualified to attend the gathering. Young geniuses from the other clans will also be attending, but those families only have one allocated place. This gathering is hosted by the 3 great clans of Aurora City on a rotation basis, and this year is the Shao clan's turn to host, Li Fei explained. "What's the point of this gathering?" Duan Tian asked. "To re-rank the hidden dragon list." Li Fei lightly smiled as her clear eyes flashed with a trace of burning desire. Hidden dragon list? Duan Tian was stupefied. In his memories, since arriving at the Li clan a few months ago, he seemed to have heard someone mention this hidden dragon list before. But he didn't try to understand it in detail. He didn't know what this hidden dragon list was. The hidden dragon list is a ranking list aimed at ranking the younger generation geniuses of Aurora City in terms of strength. The ranking is considered to have an extremely high worth. The individuals who are listed are all the most outstanding young geniuses of Aurora City. For example, our Li clan's Li Feng, who was the champion of last year's clan martial meet, was the 3rd youth genius in last year's hidden dragon list. The Shao clan sending out the invitation cards means that the hidden dragon list will be re-ranking the placements. In the gathering, the young geniuses of Aurora City will gather to interact and spar. In the end, based on personal strength, the new hidden dragon list will be made, Li Fei explained. Duan Tian nodded as he finally understood. He opened the hidden dragon invitation and read it. The gathering date was 3 days from now. The venue was in the Shao clan's estate, on the star observation platform. boring. Duan Ling Tian casually threw the hidden dragon invitation aside as he yawned. You? What are you doing? Li Fei was dumbstruck. After all, most people were fighting with all they had just to obtain an invitation, but they weren't qualified. But this guy just threw the hidden dragon invitation aside like throwing trash. Suddenly, as if he had thought of something, Duan Ling Tian asked Li Fei, "Right, you said earlier that there were only 5 hidden dragon invitations in the Li clan?" "Yeah, not anyone can receive a hidden dragon invitation." Li Fei's tone sounded slightly complacent, and she had an expression that said, "You're ignorant." So it could be said that each hidden dragon invitation has an extraordinary value? Duan Ling Tian's eye shone. Of course, almost every youth of the younger generation in Aurora City wants to participate in the yearly Young Genius Gathering, but because the hidden dragon invitation's threshold is too high, they can only be denied entrance at the door. After all, as long as a young genius is able to participate in the gathering, even if they are unable to be ranked on the hidden dragon list in the end, they will still be able to experience the demeanor of the other young geniuses, maybe even gaining benefits from it and allowing their own cultivation to break through. Li Fei had an it goes without saying expression. She quickly noticed Duan Ling Tian picking up the hidden dragon invitation. She naturally thought that after hearing what she said, Duan Ling Tian started to take the hidden dragon list ranking gathering seriously. But who knew that he instead muttered to himself, "After hearing what you said, this hidden dragon invitation should be worth a lot of money, right? Looks like I can think about holding a private mini-auction to sell off this hidden dragon invitation. Who knows, I might be able to get some money out of it. Yes, I'll do it like this." You, could it be that you have no intention whatsoever to be ranked on the hidden dragon list? After hearing what Duan Ling Tian said, Li Fei was so angry that her breathing became rapid. In her opinion, including her, as long as it was a young genius of Aurora City, who wouldn't want to be ranked on the hidden dragon list? Being ranked on the hidden dragon list was an extremely great honor. Someone on that list could even possibly leave their name behind in Aurora City, allowing the future generations to look at it with reverence. This Duan Ling Tian, however, seemed to think that it was beneath contempt. "It's only some fame and reputation, so I'm not interested." Duan Ling Tian shook his head, not caring one bit. In his previous life, as the strongest weapons specialist on Earth, he carried tons of honor and glory and was too high to be touched. Towards this sort of reputation, he had long since been indifferent to it. After hearing what Duan Ling Tian said, Li Fei had a complicated gaze. What kind of man was this? His age wasn't old, but he seemed to contain boundless life experiences. Duan Ling Tian seemed to have thought of something as he hurriedly asked, "Right, I nearly forgot. Little Fei, the hidden dragon list ranking, does it have any prizes? For example, the first ranked can obtain some valuable medicinal material or precious items." "You." Li Fei's serious expression was instantly destroyed by Duan Ling Tian. She was at a loss on whether to laugh or cry. Of course there are prizes. People ranked inside the top 10 of the hidden dragon list will be able to obtain corresponding prizes. These prizes are provided by Aurora City's 3 great clans, and they're even better than the prizes from the earlier clan martial meet. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Duan Ling Tian glanced at Li Fei with a slightly blaming gaze as he put away the hidden dragon invitation as if it was a precious treasure. You didn't ask. Li Fei gave Duan Ling Tian a disdainful glance. Looks like you don't understand this future husband of yours enough. Yes, we should exchange our feelings more. Come in my room to exchange. Duan Ling Tian greedily sized up Li Fei's hot body as he grinned. Rascal, thick-skinned. Li Fei was so ashamed that she turned around and fled. In 3 days, I'll come find you. We'll go to the Shao clan estate together, she said as she left. This little girl is getting more and more attractive. Duan Ling Tian took a deep breath. The burning sensation that came from his lower regions slightly eased up. He wished he could catch up to her and punish her on the spot. 3 days later, Li Fei came at the appointed time. After notifying Ku Er and his mother, Duan Ling Tian left the Li clan estate with Li Fei. The Shao clan estate was situated outside of Aurora City's South City Gate and adjacent to groups of mountains. After Duan Ling Tian and Li Fei produced their hidden dragon invitations, they entered the Shao clan estate, and under the lead of a Shao clan disciple, they entered the star observation platform. The star observation platform was halfway up the hill, occupying a vast area. Besides the resting pergolas on the side, there were plenty of weapon racks. On the weapon racks were various weapons that anyone could desire. When Duan Ling Tian and Li Fei arrived, there were already quite a few youths scattered around. The arrival of the pair attracted the eyes of the crowd. Of course, the gazes of these youths descended upon Li Fei. To these youths that had just undergone puberty, the hot-bodied Li Fei was undoubtedly a huge temptation. Humph! A group of little kids. Duan Ling Tian's eyebrows knit, ignoring the gazes that could kill from the surroundings. He extended his hand and dominatingly grabbed onto Li Fei's soft, jade-like hand, as if he was putting on a show of force to the surrounding youths. Open your eyes wide and look properly. This is my woman. Li Fei was suddenly surprised by Duan Ling Tian's actions. Her devilish body unnoticeably trembled, and her angel-like face blushed. Li Fei used a voice that was almost like a mosquito as she said, "Let go of me." "No, I don't want these little kids staring at my future wife." Duan Ling Tian was extremely persistent. Rascal! After struggling for a while and being unable to struggle free from Duan Ling Tian, Li Fei stared at him slightly angrily. "Even then, you would be the only one who could call me rascal. Other women are not worthy." Duan Ling Tian was very straightforward. "Really?" Li Fei slightly doubted him. "Even pearls aren't so real." Duan Ling Tian had a wide grin. Li Fei's clear eyes narrowed as she derided, "How about Ku Er?" "Ku Er is different. She's an exception," Duan Ling Tian grunted. His tone was filled with a dominating bearing. Ninth level of the body tempering stage? Gazes of jealousy and envy descended upon Duan Ling Tian one by one. All the youths present quickly saw through Duan Ling Tian's cultivation. Every single one of them was at the core formation stage. A body-tempering martial artist suddenly appearing in their midst attracted the attention of everyone. Most importantly, this body-tempering martial artist was actually asking for a beating by holding the hand of one of the three great beauties of Aurora City, the Li clan's Li Fei. Some of the youths instantly had unwilling expressions. As far as they were concerned, a ninth-level body-tempering guy had no ability to possess Li Fei. The Aurora City Youth Gathering is really getting worse year by year. Even a pretty boy who doesn't even have the qualifications to obtain a hidden dragon invitation can actually rely on a woman to sneak in. A slightly robust youth sneered at Duan Ling Tian. His voice wasn't soft, destroying the short silence in the star observation platform. Duan Ling Tian's eyes narrowed as he asked the young girl beside him, "Pretty boy? Little Fei, am I really that handsome?" "Pei, they are insulting you." Even Li Fei felt ashamed for Duan Ling Tian's thick face. "Kid, you're jealous, right? You should know that it isn't easy to be a pretty boy. With your idiotic look and that black face of yours, you probably won't even be able to find a wife in the future." Duan Ling Tian glanced at the robust youth as he lightly smiled. Immediately, the other youths looked at the robust youth with strange expressions that had a trace of pity. He just had finished calling a pretty boy as an insult, but a second later that person retaliated and said that he couldn't even compare to a pretty boy. "Kid, I want to challenge you." The robust youth exploded in rage. Then he started walking towards Duan Ling Tian in large strides and in full fury. Humph! Just at this moment, a cold grunt sounded from afar. Three youths quickly walked over. The one that grunted was precisely the cold youth in the lead. The youth was around the age of 18 with a cold and reserved bearing, and his sharp eyes were filled with arrogance and unyieldingness. "Young master you." The robust youth's expression distorted. It was as if he was a mouse that saw a cat. He was so intimidated that he retreated back. "Young master you." At this moment, the other youths hurriedly greeted the cold youth. Their tones were filled with respect. The cold youth ignored them as he walked by himself towards Li Fei and Duan Ling Tian. Just when everyone thought that he was about to greet Li Fei, an unbelievable scene unfolded. "You're Duan Ling Tian? I'm very interested in you." The cold youth's gaze descended onto Li Fei, and his sharp eyes flickered full of determination. I'm sorry, I'm not interested in you. My orientation is very normal. As Duanling Tian said this, he raised up the hand that held Li Fei's jade-like, small hands, and grinned. Li Fei blushed. She wanted to struggle, but she noticed that Duanling Tian's hand was like an iron pincer. My orientation is very normal as well. Li Fei, one of the three great beauties of Aurora City, you have a well-deserved reputation. The corners of the cold youth's mouth slightly trembled. His gaze moved from Duanling Tian to Li Fei as he nodded. He then proceeded to walk towards the innermost pergola in the star observation platform. That was the host's place of rest. On the star observation platform, all the youths present gazed at Duanling Tian with disbelief. This body-tempering kid could actually cause the cold youth to take him seriously? This was beyond their expectations. Who is this kid? Ninth level of the body-tempering stage? Could it be that he is the branch family disciple Duanling Tian, who seized second place in the Li clan's martial meet 1 month ago? It can't be. According to what I know, there should be 5 core formation disciples in the entire Li clan younger generation. Yeah, how could they allow a 9th level body-tempering disciple seize second place when they have 5 core formation disciples attending? This is impossible, and I don't believe it. I heard of this news as well, and I don't believe it. Something surely went on behind the scenes. I think so too. Young Master Yu was probably cheated as well, or else he wouldn't pay special regard to this kid. These youths looked at Duanling Tian with even more disdainful gazes. Who is he? He seems so arrogant, Duanling Tian curiously asked Li Fei. Xiao Yu, the young genius who was second on last year's Hidden Dragon list. At the time, he was 17. A year has passed since then, so his strength has long since advanced by leaps and bounds. Rumors say he's on the verge of breaking through to the 3rd level of the core formation stage. Li Fei's clear eyes had a sense of reverence. I take it that he was stronger than our Li clan's Li Feng last year? Duanling Tian's eyes narrowed. Yes, he defeated Li Feng with only 9 moves during last year's gathering. Finally, because of a small mistake, he lost to the Lin clan's Lin Hong, who went on to become the top-ranked young genius on the Hidden Dragon list. At that time, Lin Hong admitted that if he were the same age as Xiao Yu, he would definitely be inferior to him. Xiao Yu is the Xiao clan's martial Dao genius that is hard to come by in 100 years. If nothing unexpected happens, this year's top rank in the Hidden Dragon list will certainly be his. Li Fei slowly said. So it would seem that he's much stronger than Li Qing. Duanling Tian laughed. Li Fei shook her head as she said, Li Qing? They aren't even on the same level. Li Qing participated in last year's Hidden Dragon list ranking battles as well, but he wasn't even qualified to be ranked on the list. I have to admit, hearing you speak so highly of Xiao Yu, even I am getting slightly jealous. Duanling Tian's eyes narrowed as he put on an act that he was slightly unhappy. I'm just speaking of the truth. If you don't want to hear it, then defeat him. At that time, I'll naturally stop praising him. Li Fei gave Duanling Tian a disdainful glance. If I defeat him, are there any rewards? Duanling Tian asked. What naughty ideas are you thinking of? Li Fei said vigilantly. What naughty ideas could I think of? Looks like you think I can defeat him, or else you wouldn't be so vigilant against me. Duanling Tian laughed. Noticing Duanling Tian using the opportunity to continuously flirt with her, Li Fei was slightly speechless. Li Qing has arrived. Li Qing was the champion in the Li clan martial meet 1 month ago. He is the fully deserving champion of the Li clan's younger generation. Allegedly, his cultivation has already stepped into the 2nd level of the core formation stage. 2nd level of the core formation stage? Isn't that similar to young Master Yu? Even if they are both at the 2nd level of the core formation stage, there is still a difference. Young Master Yu has cultivated 3 high-grade profound rank martial skills. His offensive martial skill has been cultivated to the perfection stage, and his defensive martial skill and movement technique were both cultivated to the mastery stage. Yeah, Li Qing has only recently stepped into the 2nd level of the core formation stage. However, young Master Yu broke through half a year ago. 1 year ago, young Master Yu was ranked 2nd on the Hidden Dragon list, whilst Li Qing didn't even have the qualification to be ranked. The difference between the two are like heaven and earth. The white-clothed youth that came alone naturally heard the discussions of the people on the star observation platform. His expression slowly turned gloomy. Xiao Yu. His gaze descended upon the innermost pergola onto the cold youth's shadow that was within. But unfortunately, ever since he appeared, Xiao Yu had not once glanced his way. Li Qing's gaze turned slightly cold. He had set a target for himself before coming to this year's gathering. Defeat Xiao Yu and be ranked at the top of the hidden dragon list. Xiao Yu, I'll let you be complacent for now, but I will surely defeat you for sure. Li Qing's eyes were filled with a brutal light. Suddenly, as if noticing something, Li Qing's gaze descended upon the youth and young girl that were in front of him. A youth in violet clothes and a young girl in light violet clothes were standing together. They looked like a pair, a heavenly couple, especially since their hands were held together. Fei Fei. A burning rage arose in Li Qing's heart. He couldn't bear with it anymore and directly walked over. Take your hands away, or else I'll cripple you. Li Qing's cold gaze, which was filled with killing intent, descended onto the youth in violet clothes, seeming ready to swallow him up. I'm curious, though, how do you plan on crippling me? Duanling Tian smiled indifferently, as if he didn't take notice of Li Qing's threat. You're courting death. Li Qing's right hand was suffused with origin energy, and his eyes emitted a dense coldness as he prepared to attack Duanling Tian. Li Qing, I've already told you, I'll never ever be with you, so stop wasting time on me. Li Fei's expression turned grim as she snapped. Fei Fei, once I cripple this trash, then you'll know who is worthy of being your man. Li Qing took a deep breath. He felt it difficult to suppress the rage in his heart. As he took a step forward, his imposing manner seemed to pierce through the sky. Li Qing. Just at this moment, an extremely cold voice sounded, causing Li Qing's body to stop in place. Li Qing, if you dare to attack before the gathering begins, I'll ask you to leave, and this year's hidden dragon list will have no relation to you anymore. Unknowingly when Xiao Yu walked over in large strides, his voice icy cold and bone-piercing. Fine, I'll wait until the gathering starts, and then I'll teach this trash a lesson. Li Qing took a deep breath, then his eyes slightly narrowed as a cold light flashed within. Trash? The corners of Duanling Tian's mouth curled into a grin. Did this Li Qing really think he admitted defeat the other time because he was scared of him? It was because Patriarch Li Ao had meddled in the other time. Or else, it would be impossible for him to admit defeat. This time, no one could stop him. Let's go sit over there. After sweeping Li Qing with a disgusted gaze, Li Fei seemed to be trying to avoid a fly as she pulled on Duanling Tian's hand and walked into the empty pergola nearby. She sat shoulder to shoulder with Duanling Tian. Seeing this scene, Li Qing's eyes seemed on the verge of splitting open from anger. Duanling Tian. Today, you will certainly die. Li Qing gave Duanling Tian the death punishment in his heart. As far as he was concerned, a branch family disciple and a disciple with another surname at that, with his honored status in the Li clan, it wouldn't be a problem even if he killed him. Little Fei, that Li Qing seems like he wishes he was able to eat my flesh and drink my blood right now. Looks like wanting to make you my wife carries with it a threat to my life. Although they were fairly far from each other, Duanling Tian could still detect Li Qing's killing intent. You're scared? Li Fei playfully blinked her eyes. Scared? Duanling Tian indifferently smiled. As the former strongest weapons specialist on Earth, he really didn't know what scared meant. Duanling Tian and Li Fei had actually arrived relatively early to the genius gathering that was hosted by the Xiao clan. As time passed by, more and more people arrived. Among these people were two Li clan members, Lian, Li Zhong. Besides the Li clan duo, Duanling Tian recognized one more person, Lin Qi. Seeing Lin Qi once more, Duanling Tian couldn't help but be slightly startled, because he noticed that Lin Qi's disposition had changed. After inheriting the memories of Rebirth Martial Emperor, Duanling Tian saw things in a unique way. With merely a glance, he noticed that Lin Qi had already stepped into the core formation stage. Lin Chi walked over shoulder to shoulder with another youth. This youth was around the age of 18 and had a slight similarity to Lin Chi between his brows. Recalling something he had heard from before, Duan Ling Tian vaguely guessed the identity of this person. Lin Zhua, Lin Chi's elder brother. The top disciple in the Lin clan's younger generation. When Duan Ling Tian looked at Lin Chi also looked towards Duan Ling Tian. He said something to the youth beside him before the two of them walked over quickly. This scene also fell into the eyes of the youth genius present in the star observation platform. Duan Ling Tian. Lin Chi greeted Duan Ling Tian. Long time no see. Duan Ling Tian lightly nodded. This is my elder brother, Lin Zhou. Elder brother. He is Duan Ling Tian. Lin Chi introduced Lin Zhua to Duan Ling Tian and vice versa. Duan Ling Tian, I have long since heard my little brother mention you. Relying merely on your 8th level body tempering cultivation to defeat him, who was at the 9th level of the body tempering stage at the time, was truly shocking. Lin Zhua lightly smiled to Duan Ling Tian. I too have long since heard of your name, the Lin clan's number one of the younger generation. Nice to meet you. Duan Ling Tian replied with a smile. Duan Ling Tian, I heard that during the Li clan martial meet, you could exert the strength of 3 ancient mammoths even though your cultivation is only at the 9th level of the body tempering stage. Is this true? Lin Chi's eyes flickered as he gazed fixedly into Duan Ling Tian's eyes. It was as if he was trying to see something through Duan Ling Tian's eyes. But he was bound to be disappointed. Duan Ling Tian only smiled mysteriously. From start to finish, his eyes were tranquil, without any changes. Little Chi, whether it is true or not, you will find out once the gathering begins. You're still worried you won't be able to see it? Compared to Lin Chi, Lin Zhua was much calmer. The two brothers took their leave a short while after and walked to another empty pergola. This Duan Ling Tian seems to really be not so simple. Could it be that the rumors were true? Even Lin Zhua took the initiative to greet him, so his reputation is great. Yeah, Lin Zhua didn't even pay attention to the Li clan's champion of the younger generation. He directly went to greet Duan Ling Tian. Wasn't Lin Zhua's little brother, Lin Chi, defeated by Duan Ling Tian? Why wasn't there any hostility between them when they met? You don't even understand this? The proverb is correct. A friendship grows from the exchange of blows. Maybe they are already friends? You have a point. The young geniuses from Aurora City's clans started whispering in discussion. Humph. When Li Qing heard all this, his face became even gloomier. Li Qing, this is your best opportunity to cripple that Duan Ling Tian. Unknowingly when Lian arrived beside Li Qing and instigated. It isn't your place to make remarks on how I do things. K off. Li Qing's gaze turned cold and his voice was icy. Lian's face froze. He took in a deep breath before turning around and leaving. Lian's face was extremely ugly. As one of the outstanding Li clan younger generation disciples, he had his pride. Ever since he started cultivating, among the Li clan's younger generation, Li Qing suppressed him at every moment. He had long since been unsatisfied with Li Qing. Now, Li Qing shaming him in such a way caused a killing intent to uncontrollably rise in his heart. Duan Ling Tian's sensitive senses noticed a killing intent. When he raised his head and looked over, Lian? Duan Ling Tian saw Lian leaving from where Li Qing sat. The killing intent came from Lian and was pointed at Li Qing. This Lian isn't simple. Vigilance arose in Duan Ling Tian's heart. Although in terms of strength Li Qing was stronger than Lian, in terms of the level of danger, it would be impossible for Li Qing to reach Lian's level. For example, if Li Qing was a wild wolf, then Lian would be the poisonous snake that was hiding in the dark. The latter was much more terrifying than the former. Suddenly, there was a stir in the star observation platform. Xiao Lan is here. Equally famous as Li Fei and Lin Yuhuan, she is one of the 3 great beauties of Aurora City. Her reputation is well-deserved. The sounds of exclamations rose and fell. The burning gazes of the youths descended on the young girl, who was walking over from afar. The young girl had a head of soft and smooth long hair. It was like a pouring waterfall flying about with the wind. Her drop-dead gorgeous face seemed to have gone through the care and precision of a sculptor. Under the hazy morning mist, the young girl seemed to transform into a fairy that came down from heaven. Duan Ling Tian's gaze was also drawn by the young girl who was walking over from afar. Xiaolan? He had heard of this name. One of the three great beauties of Aurora City, equally famous to Li Fei. In the beginning, he didn't quite believe it. In his opinion, no matter whether it was Kaer or Li Fei, they were both rare drop-dead gorgeous beauties. Other women couldn't possibly compare with them. But seeing Xiaolan today, Duan Ling Tian realized his mistake. This Xiaolan's looks were indeed not one bit inferior to Li Fei's. Xiaolan seemed to be around the age of 18. Her actions were elegant, and her smile was like a flower. Every smile or frown emitted an exalted and refined charm. If Li Fei was a red rose, charming like fire, then Xiaolan would be pure like a snow lotus. Although their appearances were on par, their dispositions were completely different, being two complete opposites. What an excellent girl of respectable descent! Duan Ling Tian secretly praised her in his heart. Ah! Suddenly, Duan Ling Tian felt a jolt of pain from his thigh, and he was unable to stop himself from shouting out. Only now did he realize that Li Fei was angrily staring at him and had extended her hand to mercilessly pinch his thigh. Didn't you say that other women are not worthy? Li Fei was slightly vexed. My good Fei, everyone loves a beauty. Hurry and take away your hand. I won't look anymore. Duan Ling Tian smiled bitterly. But in his heart, however, he was busting with joy. Li Fei's attitude undoubtedly indicated that she was jealous. In other words, although she wasn't willing to admit it, in her heart she had already tacitly approved of him being her man. Otherwise, why would she be jealous? After freely moving about the flower bushes in his previous life, Duan Ling Tian was extremely familiar with the thoughts of women. Humph! Li Fei grunted resentfully. Only then did she let go. Duan Ling Tian's gaze descended upon the young girl beside Xiaolan. Compared to Xiaolan, the young girl was outshone. It wasn't that she was ugly. In terms of appearance, she was absolutely on par with Li Shishi. But compared to Xiaolan, she was quite inferior. Duan Ling Tian watched Xiaolan and the young girl enter the innermost pergola. At this time, Xiaoyu greeted them. He extended his hand and held Xiaolan's hand, bringing her into the pergola. So it turned out that she was Xiaoyu's woman, but these guys still dared to look at her unrestrainedly. Aren't they afraid that Xiaoyu will come for them later? Duan Ling Tian noticed that most of the youth still had their gazes fixed upon Xiaolan. Only you have such complicated thoughts. Xiaoyu and Xiaolan are siblings, twins. Li Fei gave Duan Ling Tian a disdainful glance. Twins? For an unknown reason, after hearing what Li Fei said, Duan Ling Tian heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. The young girl beside Xiaolan seems to be not so simple. Duan Ling Tian's gaze descended on the young girl beside Xiaolan. He was sure that this young girl that was around the age of 17 was not a body-tempering martial artist, but had already stepped into the core formation stage. Of course, she is the Xiao clan's patriarch's daughter, Xiao Yun, the former top disciple of the Xiao clan's outer court. Equally famous to our Li clan's Li Kuang and the Lin clan's Lin Qi, Li Fei said. Duan Ling Tian felt enlightened. He finally recalled. When he fought Lin Qi that day, Lin Qi had mentioned Xiao Yun. After a short while longer, everyone had finally arrived. At this time, as the host, Xiaoyu walked out and arrived at the center of the star observation platform. Everyone, before the gathering starts, I have a good news to tell everyone. This year, our Aurora City's three great clans have produced many good things as prizes for the young geniuses that will be ranked in this year's Hidden Dragon list, Xiaoyu slowly said. On the star observation platform, the sounds of hurried breathing could be heard. Especially the youths that weren't from the three great clans. All of their eyes shone and they became slightly decomposed. Seeing this, Duan Ling Tian was able to understand their feelings. The three great clans of Aurora City practically monopolized all forms business, meaning the other small clans could only pick up the scraps. To the young geniuses of these small clans, the The prizes that were obtained from being ranked in the hidden dragon list were prizes that even if their clan spared no efforts to obtain, they would be incapable of getting their hands on it. Young Master Yu, what prizes are there? Tell us. Yeah, young Master Yu, we want to know. The young geniuses from the small clans asked one after the other. Humph, a bunch of bumpkins. Li Qing, who was standing alone at a corner, had a disdainful smile on the corners of his mouth. Li Qing's voice was quite loud. Instantly, all of the young geniuses from the smaller clans glared at him. What? Don't like what I said? If you don't, when the gathering starts, I welcome all of you to challenge me. Li Qing completely turned a blind eye to their enraged gazes. Seeing this, Duan Ling Tian couldn't help but feel speechless. This Li Qing actually really thought himself to be peerless under the heavens. Lian watched this from afar with an expression of disdain. Boorish. Using a voice only he could hear, Lian muttered to himself, "Since everyone wants to know, then I'll tell." As Xiao Yu finished speaking, the gazes of all the young geniuses were drawn towards him. Even Duan Ling Tian was no exception. The reason he came to participate in this genius gathering wasn't for the ranking, the hidden dragon list, or whatever. He didn't have a sliver of interest in those. The only thing that mattered to him were the material prizes. After the deliberation of our three great clans' patriarchs, it was decided that the one who is ranked first in this year's Hidden Dragon list will receive 3 high-grade profound rank martial skills, 10 origin increasing pills, 10 grade 8 gold injury pills, 3 300-year-old bloodlingsies, and 300,000 silver. On the star observation platform, the sounds of people letting out breaths of cold air rose and fell. This year's prizes were much better than last year's. Seems to be not bad. Duan Ling Tian's eyes narrowed and a greedy light flashed within before vanishing instantaneously. 3 high-grade profound rank martial skills, no matter where, were considered items of great value. The origin increasing pill was the medicinal pill core formation martial artists used to increase their cultivation level, so it was extremely valuable. Grade 8 gold injury pills, even in the Fresh Breeze Townley branch family, there were only 2 then. After using one on Duan Ling Tian, there was only 1 remaining, easily showing how rare and valuable it was. 3 300-year-old bloodlingsies were more than enough to provide a huge increase to the cultivation stage of a defensive martial skill. The 300,000 silver was even more practical. It's not bad, but you need to obtain it first. Li Fei provoked. Little Fei, if I can get the first rank in this hidden dragon list, you'll become my wife. How about if? Duan Ling Tian laughed slyly. We'll talk about it when you really are the first. Li Fei didn't take it seriously. Although Duan Ling Tian's strength was extremely bizarre, as Li Fei saw it, his strength was at most slightly stronger than Li Qing's, maybe even slightly inferior to the Lin clan's Lin Zhua, let alone the Xiao clan's Xiao Yu. Of course, she believed that in the future, Duan Ling Tian would undoubtedly surpass Lin Zhua and Xiao Yu. After all, Duan Ling Tian was only 16 this year. On the other hand, Lin Zhua and Xiao Yu were 2 full years older than him. If it was the Hidden Dragon list ranking of next year, she believed that Duan Ling Tian would be able to be the first. This year, however, she didn't look favorably at Duan Ling Tian. Then I'll take it as you've agreed. Duan Ling Tian smiled. His burning gaze once again descended upon Li Fei's hot and charming body. His lower regions were burning as they had a reaction again. Truly an attractive and alluring young girl. If it's like this, isn't it slightly unfair? Li Fei's clear eyes emitted a sly expression. Then why don't you tell me what's fair? Duan Ling Tian asked. If you can't obtain the first rank in the Hidden Dragon list, no matter what ranking you obtain, your prizes must be given to me. Li Fei blinked her beautiful eyes with an expression that said, let's see if you dare to agree or not. Little Fei, you really are greedy. When I marry you, I don't have to worry about suffering any losses anymore. Okay, I agree. Duan Ling Tian shook his head. Hearing Duan Ling Tian agree, the smile that was on the corners of Li Fei's mouth froze. This money grubber actually agreed? Could it be that he really was confident? Or maybe he concealed his strength? At this instant, Li Fei's thoughts couldn't help but cause a sense of regret to be aroused in her heart. Duanling Tian noticed Li Fei's constantly changing expression, so he asked in vigilance, "Little Fei, you won't go back on your word, right?" "Humph. We'll discuss it when you've really got the first place in the hidden dragon list," Li Fei grunted. At this moment, the young geniuses in the star observation platform had slightly calmed their moods. "Young Master Yu, the other two people who are ranked in the top 3, what are their prizes?" another youth asked. "This year's Hidden Dragon List 2nd and 3rd ranked will each get 2 high-grade profound rank martial skills, 5 origin increasing pills, 5 grade 8 gold injury pills, 2 300-year-old bloodlingsies, and 200,000 silver," Xiao Yu answered. Although the prizes of the 2nd and 3rd ranks were significantly lesser than the first, to most of the people present, they were still filled with temptation. As for the other 7 young geniuses that are ranked on the Hidden Dragon list, they will each get 1 high-grade profound rank martial skill, 3 origin increasing pills, 3 grade 8 gold injury pills, 1 300-year-old bloodlingji, and 100,000 silver, Xiao Yu continued. The star observation platform was filled with a rising determination. As long as they were able to be ranked on the Hidden Dragon list, besides being well known in Aurora City, they would still be able to obtain such abundant prizes. Everyone was rubbing their hands together and were eager to have a go. Now the gathering begins. After finishing the announcement, Xiao Yu returned to the innermost pergola in the star observation platform to stand shoulder to shoulder with his sister, Xiao Lan, and prepare for battle. "Brother, unless something unexpected happens, the first rank for this year's Hidden Dragon list will surely be yours." Xiao Lan smiled faintly, seeming noble and elegant. "If it was a month ago, I could be certain that nothing unexpected would happen, but now there's an unknown and unstable element." Xiao Yu shook his head. His gaze directly descended upon the violet-clothed youth far away. "He is." Xiao Lan looked over as well. Duanling Tian. Xiao Yu's pupils constricted as a battle-intent surface from his body. Duanling Tian? The 9th-level body-tempering martial artist that took 2nd place in the Li clan's martial meet? According to the rumors, it's said that he can exert the strength of 3 ancient mammoths with a cultivation at the 9th level of the body-tempering stage. "Brother, didn't you feel it to be too exaggerated?" Xiao Lan analyzed. "Lan, since there are rumors, then it wouldn't be a groundless rumor. Moreover, there were so many Li clan members who saw it with their own 2 eyes that day. How could this be faked? Also, you should know well of my intuition. It has never once been wrong." Xiao Yu slowly said. "Brother, don't tell me." A startled expression surfaced on Xiao Lan's beautiful face. The intuition of her twin brother was something she was extremely clear of. It could be considered to be a miraculous ability that came naturally. Ever since they were small, her twin brother's intuition had never once been wrong. "You're right. My intuition is telling me that he is extremely dangerous. It's difficult to even compare Linjua with him." Xiao Yu nodded. "But he seems to only be 16. Xiao Lan's face was slightly red and her breathing was hurried for a second. "So what if he's 16? In our Crimson Sky Kingdom's history, there have been many young geniuses that stepped into the core formation stage at the age of 16. The appearance of someone abnormal like Duanling Tian isn't rare," Xiao Yu said. At this moment, Xiao Yun, who stood beside Xiao Lan, couldn't help herself and spoke. "Brother Yu, in the Li clan's martial meet, didn't this Duanling Tian lose to Li Qing?" "I heard of this too." Xiao Lan nodded. "Lose to Li Qing? Who told you?" "That was him admitting defeat." Xiao Yu shook his head as if he was thoroughly familiar with the circumstances of the Li clan's martial meet. If he can defeat Li Qing, why would he admit defeat? Xiao Yun was reluctant to concede. "Little Yun, let me ask you. If our Xiao clan's martial meets champion was taken by a branch family disciple that was a disciple of another surname, what would happen?" Xiao Yu didn't directly answer Xiao Yun, but instead gave her a question. "Brother, what you mean is, someone asked Duanling Tian to admit defeat?" Xiao Lan reacted at the first moment. "That is my guess." Xiao Yu nodded. "Brother Yu, everything you said is only just your guess." Xiao Yun was still slightly unwilling to concede. In her entire life, She only admired one person in terms of the martial Tao, and that person was Xiao Yu. Xiao Yu caused her to feel that she was not his equal. But now Xiao Yu said that someone might have the strength to defeat him. Moreover, it was a 16-year-old youth, so it was difficult for her to accept this. Little Yun, whether or not my guess is correct, you'll know very soon. Xiao Yu shook his head. He didn't debate with Xiao Yun. Presently, on the star observation platform, there was a young genius from a small clan that had won 3 consecutive victories. His imposing manner shot towards the sky. The youth looked towards the surroundings as he slowly said, "Is there anyone else who wants to battle me?" "Me." A Xiao clan youth flew out and stood to face the youth. After a moment, the two fought, merely in a single move. The Xiao clan youth defeated the other youth. It was a good fight. The Xiao clan youth cupped his hands. This Xiao Yong took the 5th place in the Xiao clan's martial meet last month. In other words, among the 5 Xiao clan young geniuses present today, his strength is the weakest. As expected of a disciple from a large clan, the weakest had such formidable strength. Looks like I don't have a chance of being ranked in the Hidden Dragon list. Being able to witness the young geniuses of the 3 great families striving for the top rank could also be considered as a pretty good gain. Some of the small clan young geniuses were slightly dejected. Of course, there were some small clan young geniuses who had a fearless battle intent and went up to challenge Xiao Yong. After a short while, Xiao Yong defeated another 3 opponents. Li Fei smiled as she said, "This Xiao Yong's strength is pretty good, not inferior to Li Zhong's." "Not bad." Duan Ling Tian yawned. "Didn't you sleep enough last night?" Li Fei was slightly dazed. "I naturally didn't sleep enough as I had no wife to hug." Duan Ling Tian smiled playfully. "Rascal." Li Fei glared at Duan Ling Tian. In this short amount of time, Xiao Yong had defeated another opponent. "Is there anyone who wants to battle this Xiao?" Xiao Yong said politely. "Me." A voice sounded from one of the pergolas on the star observation platform. A green-clothed youth around the age of 18 walked over. The youth had a robust build and had a straightforward appearance. If only looking at his outer appearance, he would be thought to be an honest person. But with a closer look, it could be noticed that the youth's eyes were extremely intelligent, and they occasionally flashed with a cunning brilliance. Xiao Yong lightly smiled as he asked, "What's your name, brother?" The youth blinked his eyes as he said, "Mengquan." "Brother Mengquan, I beseech your guidance." Xiao Long went into stance. Duan Ling Tian was originally drowsy, but his spirit was refreshed the moment he saw Mengquan. "What's different about this Mengquan?" Noticing Duan Ling Tian's change, Li Fei asked curiously. Interesting. Xiao Yong is going to lose." Duan Ling Tian lightly smiled. "What have you noticed?" Li Fei pursued. "Call me brother and I'll tell you." "Pei, you wish, shameless. Stinking rascal." While Duan Ling Tian's spirit was shocked, this Mengquan is not simple. Xiao Yu's expression was heavy as well. "Brother you wouldn't be wanting to say that this person's strength is also bizarre like Duan Ling Tian's, right?" Xiao Yun didn't take it seriously. Just at this moment, Mengquan and Xiao Yong had started their battle. Whoosh! Xiao Yong's body moved as if transforming into a falling leaf, lightly floating as he flashed towards Mengquan. Middle-grade profound rank movement technique. Leaf dance. "You're a man. Why cultivate a woman's movement technique?" Mengquan shook his head. Bang! His legs stomped on the ground as he transformed into a cannonball, rushing out to intercept Xiao Yong. His speed was faster than Xiao Yong's. Vortex palm. Xiao Yong's pupils constricted. As he flashed towards Mengquan, he slapped out a palm of accumulated force. His attack was bold and unconstrained, and with origin energy raging. Devastating ox fist. When Mengquan swung out his fist, his origin energy burst apart and caused a surge of invisible currents of air as it moved to intercept Xiao Yong's palm strike. Above both of them were 2 ancient mammoth silhouettes each, which dashed out and collided together with a loud bang. Mengquan's body lightly trembled. "Ah!" Xiao Yong emitted a shrill cry as he was blasted flying. "I'm not a match for you." Xiao Yong slowly stood up and nodded to Meng Quan. He was sincerely convinced and thus retreated. It was a good fight. Meng Quan scratched the back of his head and smiled foolishly. But his eyes that flickered with a shrewd light sold him out. You had already noticed earlier that Xiao Yong wasn't a match for him? Li Fei looked at Duan Ling Tian, as if wanting to get the answer from Duan Ling Tian's face. This Meng Quan concealed his strength. His true strength is probably on par with Li Qing's. Duan Ling Tian's eyes narrowed as he stared fixedly at Meng Quan. It was difficult to discern the cultivation of a martial artist at the core formation stage, and above only by looking because of the presence of origin energy. The only way to determine an approximate cultivation level was to base the estimation on the ancient mammoth silhouettes that were developed by the martial artist from drawing upon the forces of heaven and earth. But Duan Ling Tian, who had merged with the memories of Rebirth Martial Emperor, was equivalent to a living Rebirth Martial Emperor. His eyesight was unique. He could discern that Meng Quan wasn't a first-level core formation martial artist. The feeling Meng Quan gave him was similar to Xiao Yu, Linjua, and Li Qing, the second level of the core formation stage. Even though he can defeat Xiao Yong, that only shows that his martial skills have a high cultivation stage. Up until now, he has only exerted the strength of two ancient mammoths. How did you see through his concealed cultivation? Li Fei obviously didn't believe him. Duan Ling Tian shook his head and smiled, opting to not debate on the matter with Li Fei. It wouldn't be long before the facts proved everything. So that's how it is. The corners of Xiao Yu's mouth curled into a smile. Obviously he noticed as well. Xiao Yong is really useless. Xiao Yun's beautiful eyebrows knit as her body jerked before lightly descending nearby to Meng Quan. Xiao Yu couldn't help but laugh bitterly at this scene. Brother, can Xiao Yun defeat him? Xiao Lan asked in a light voice. Based on my estimation, among the young geniuses currently present in the star observation platform, there are at most 3 people who might have a chance at defeating him, so much as there might not even be 3 people. Xiao Yu shook his head. Xiao Lan's elegant and refined face emitted a shocked expression. She didn't expect that besides Duan Ling Tian, there was another who her brother would regard so highly. Big guy, I'll fight you, Xiao Yun shouted in a delicate voice. Woman? I don't bully women. Meng Quan frowned. You. Xiao Yun's face turned red from anger, and her delicate body started to wildly tremble. Does this Meng Quan think that defeating Xiao Yong makes him peerless under the heavens? 1 month ago during the Xiao clan's martial meet, Xiao Yong wasn't Xiao Yun's match either. Yet he actually dares to look down upon Xiao Yun. This bumpkin probably doesn't even recognize Xiao Yun. Since when did the Ming clan have such a figure? Some of the youths from the small clans started to discuss together. Go die. Xiao Yun shouted in a delicate voice as her graceful figure transformed into a gust of wind that flew towards Meng Quan. In terms of speed, she was faster than the earlier Xiao Yong, even having a speed comparable to Meng Quan's. Meng Quan was slightly shocked. Not daring to continue looking down upon Xiao Yun, he moved to intercept her. Devastating ox fist. This time, Meng Quan and Xiao Yun collided head-on and were equally matched. This Xiao Yun's strength is quite good. Duan Ling Tian was slightly shocked. That's for sure. Among the younger generation females of the Xiao clan, her natural talent isn't inferior to Xiao Lan's. Li Fei said. Duan Ling Tian laughed as he asked, how about compared to you? More or less. Li Fei said. Xiao Yun is about to lose. Abruptly, Duan Ling Tian saw the slight movements of Meng Quan and his eyebrows raised up. This guy finally couldn't hold back any longer. He could clearly see the origin energy on Meng Quan's fist instantly increase explosively, surpassing the scope of a first-level core formation martial artist. But it did not reach the second level of the core formation stage, thus it did not draw upon the forces of heaven and earth to develop the third ancient mammoth silhouette. But even so, it wasn't something Xiao Yun could compare to. Devastating ox fist. Meng Quan attacked once more, its sound and force like thunder. Bang! Xiao Yun was knocked backwards and her face turned deathly pale as she looked at Meng Quan in disbelief. She noticed that the strength of this big guy seemed to instantaneously increase a level, completely suppressing her and causing her to feel powerless. Let's do it again. Meng Quan grinned. Xiao Yun glared in return, angrily returning to Xiao Yu and Xiao Lan's side. Good. All the young geniuses formed the smaller clans had expressions of disbelief and couldn't help themselves from cheering. Although they had compassion towards women, Meng Quan was, after all, a young genius from the smaller clans like them. So Meng Quan's accomplishments allowed them to gain pride and satisfaction. I'll battle you. A figure flew out. It was precisely Li Zhong. Although Li Zhong's strength was pretty good, it was still difficult for him to withstand the might of a single punch from Meng Quan, so he lost quickly. Okay, you guys play first, I'll take a short rest. After defeating Li Zhong, Meng Quan returned to the pergola and started gobbling down the light refreshments and tea prepared by the Xiao clan. As time flew by, most of the people present had commenced a battle. Only a few youths of the three great clans were yet to commence a battle. Among them were Duan Ling Tian and Li Fei. Whoosh! Li Fei flew out and descended in the center of the star observation platform, attracting many burning gazes. In terms of appearance, Li Fei was on par with Xiao Lan. But the two of them were completely different types. Compared to Xiao Lan, who was like a fairy that transcended the mundane, Li Fei was the other extreme. With a devilish body and a face of an angel, she was even more attractive to men. Xiao Lan. Li Fei's gaze descended upon Xiao Lan as she called her name in challenge. Both being one of Aurora City's three beauties, none of them were willing to give in, as they both wanted to defeat the other in an aspect. For a moment, the gazes of the people present all shone. A spar between two of the three beauties of Aurora City was a rare scene indeed. They all felt that this trip wasn't for naught. Xiao Lan moved with graceful steps, coming to face Li Fei. Two unrivaled beauties standing together caused the atmosphere in the star observation platform to become silent. No one was willing to disturb this beautiful scene. Duan Ling Tian naturally wouldn't miss their fight, and he watched on with a fixed gaze. Wanderer's flash. Li Fei moved, seeming like a flashing red rose, her speed fast like a bolt of lightning. Cloud prancing. Xiao Lan moved as well. Her transcendent figure seemed to flutter. Above each of the two young girls were two ancient mammoth silhouettes that dashed out, seeming to be cheering for them. In terms of speed, the two young girls were on par. Starfall fist. Li Fei's fist smashed down with origin energy bursting forth, transforming into a fist silhouette that seemed to be a falling shooting star. It was difficult to distinguish its genuineness. Cloud-dispelling palm. Xiao Lan's palm swept out with a shapeless current filled with origin energy that dispersed out as if transforming into a group of white clouds. They seemed tranquil but actually contained killing intent. Bang! Among the fist silhouettes, Li Fei's true fist strike blasted out, creating a surge of explosions in the air. Whoosh! After the group of clouds, Xiao Lan's fine, jade-like hands appeared as a palm suffused with vast amounts of origin energy descended. Bang! The palm and fist collided with each other. The bodies of the two girls jerked before both retreating 3 steps. Noticing Li Fei's body jerking, Xiao Lan seemed to want to continue attacking. Little Fei, leave it at this. Even if you continue, it would only result in you two being equally matched. How about stopping here? Duan Ling Tian smiled. Li Fei glared at Duan Ling Tian. But she knew that what Duan Ling Tian said was a fact. Xiao Yu stood out as well as he said with a smile, yeah, you two will be considered as tied. If the two of you go at it head-to-head, the result would be both of you being injured. After returning to Duan Ling Tian's side, Li Fei asked in a questioning manner, were you worried that I'd injure her? Slander. I absolutely didn't have such thoughts. I was only afraid she would injure you and affect your ranking in the hidden dragon list. Duan Ling Tian hurriedly provided an explanation. Really? Li Fei's expression eased up slightly. Of course. Duan Ling Tian said decisively. That Meng Quan. Suddenly, Li Fei lifted her head and looked afar. Duan Ling Tian looked over as well. Meng Quan, who had eaten his fill, burped before returning to the center of the star observation platform. His gaze descended upon a proud and aloof figure that stood afar. That's right, no doubt about it. You are Li Qing, right? Didn't you say we were all bumpkins and we could challenge you? I'll now represent us bumpkins and challenge you, the Li clan's genius. Mengquan was speaking to Li Qing. Li Qing's expression turned gloomy as he walked out quickly. Are you sure you want to challenge me? The corners of Li Qing's mouth curled into a sneer, as if he had heard the joke of the century. What's with all the nonsenses? Let's fight. Mengquan had an impatient expression. Good, very good. I will quickly make you regret your decision. Li Qing turned angry from embarrassment. Whoosh! Li Qing's body flashed towards Mengquan as three ancient mammoth silhouettes instantly formed above him. His speed was shockingly fast. I heard long ago that the Li clan's #1 in the younger generation, Li Qing, had cultivated his high-grade profound rank movement technique, swimming dragon steps, to the mastery stage. Seeing it today, he really has a well-deserved reputation as expected. Since Mengquan dared to challenge him, his courage deserves compliment, but unfortunately, before Li Qing, who's at the second level of the core formation stage, it isn't enough. No matter what, Mengquan is fighting for us. The young geniuses of the smaller clans discussed with each other. Finally, I have a worthy opponent, Mengquan said in a slightly lazy manner, his body moving straight after. Whoosh! Instantly, three ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared above him. Bang! Mengquan's legs stomped on the ground as he transformed into a cannonball that had a speed not one bit inferior to Li Qing's, moving to intercept him. The strength of three ancient mammoths. On the star observation platform, besides Duan Ling Tian and Xiao Yu, everyone else was dumbstruck. This Mengquan was actually a second-level core formation martial artist.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe.